Of WGN Sports.
Just an outstanding night for baseball in Chicagoland at Guaranteed Rate Field. The Sox, after a quick trip to Boston, are back home to face the best team in the American League and the best road team in Major League Baseball, the Houston Astros, for the first time this year. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. The Astros are 71-40, 31 games over 500. The Sox, good news, get some offense back today.
Avi Garcia bringing back his .303 batting average, his 13 home runs, his 54 driven in, and now that the thumb is just about entirely healthy, he is back. The lone all-star for the Sox this year, Avi was tearing it up before he had to go on the disabled list, so hopefully coming back will give this unit a little more offense. It was sorely lacking in Boston, but hopefully tonight it starts.
Told you Houston, 31 games over 500, best team in the American League, and the major reason is the offense, which is all world.
When you take a look at what Houston has done this year, it's been remarkable. They've got a 15-game lead. They're not worried about anything, and when you look at that, you'll see why. First in the major leagues in batting average, runs, hits, doubles, home runs, on base percentage, and they're led by a diminutive second baseman, Jose Altuve, leading the way. It's not a good bunt, but speed will force mistakes, and that's exactly what happened. So Altuve gets on. When he gets on, he can get it done. He can steal a base. Extra base hits, he's been magnificent. He's got great speed, 24 stolen bases this year, and the little man leads the way. And they got a lot of thunder in this lineup. They'll hit the ball out of the ballpark. They'll do a lot of things. And as you can see, Astro team rankings, well, they're first in batting average for Altuve. Runs, terrific. Hits, well, you see what he's done. So this is one of the best players in baseball, and the fact that he's diminutive doesn't diminish his great skills.
On the mound today for Houston, a guy who has reinvented himself again this year, Dallas Keuchel, after a tough year last year.
Dallas Keuchel has a great sinker when he's entirely healthy, and starting out 9-0 this year, he was entirely healthy, throwing the ball exactly where he wanted to throw it. The sinker was good, his curveball was very good, but then he had some neck issues. He's been on the disabled list twice. And so the Dallas Keuchel of the early years is not the Dallas Keuchel that we're going to see tonight. This is just his third start off the disabled list, and he's had some trouble in the previous two. Before the DL, 9-0. After the DL, an ERA of 6.75. There you see he's out for his third start. He's not striking out a whole lot of people, not walking too many, but he's usually got good control. But look at opponent's batting average at 335. Hopefully we don't see the great Keuchel here tonight. Hopefully we'll see a guy who's having trouble getting his spots, and the sinker won't sink.
Sox and Astros for the first time this season in August. We haven't seen Houston yet. First pitch is just around the corner here in Chicago. White Sox baseball is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Stop by today or visit buyhyundai.com and see why at Hyundai, better drives us. State Farm, here to help protect the things you've worked really hard for with home and auto insurance. Meyer, true Chicago fans. Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Xfinity, Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all. And by Honda. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer. Sox and Astros, game number 1 of a 3-game series coming up from Guaranteed Rate Field. And some sad news yesterday from the baseball world. 19-year major leaguer, former manager Don Baylor passed away at age 68. I know you crossed paths with him, and you got to know him a little bit. What type of guy was he?
Well, I played against Don Baylor. He was the MVP in 1979 when he led the then California Angels to their division title, only to lose to our Orioles heading into the World Series. But Don was a tremendous player. I mean, he hit the daylights out of the ball. He could run. He was enormously strong. And what he could do is break up double plays with the best of them. So Don Baylor was a terrific player. After coming up with Baltimore, really made a name for himself with the Angels. And along with Bobby Grich, they really made quite a twosome. Don Baylor, I called his games when he was a manager with the Cubs. He was a wonderful man. He was a terrific baseball man, spent his whole life in the game, and certainly we send out condolences to his family. Don was a special man, and he'll be missed.
Former MVP Don Baylor, dead at the age of 68 yesterday. White Sox and Astros, game number 1 of this 3-game series coming up from Chicago after this. WGN TV is brought to you by Xfinity, changing the way you watch sports on TV. The top team in the American League, the Houston Astros, 71-40. However, they have lost 6 of 9 coming in with Carlos Correa injured. It's been a little bit of a struggle, but Houston still is a very dangerous bunch. Here's the starting lineup for A.J. Hinch. Alex Bregman up top, then Altuve second. Reddick, the well-traveled outfielder. Gurriel, the Cuban first baseman. Gonzalez and Beltran. J.D. Davis, the rookie at third base, and the veteran McCann following him. Jake Marisnick is the center fielder.
And the defense, and how they're going to line up behind Derek Holland. It's Liuri, Adam, and Abasail in the outfield with Saladino, Anderson, Moncada, and Abreu in the infield. Kevin Smith behind the plate. Derek Holland on the hill. And there you look at the numbers so far. This is his 22nd start. He had a relief appearance in between his last start and this one. We'll see if it straightens out the breaking ball, and we'll take a look at the umpires after the first pitch,
which is on its way and off the corner outside. Ball number 1 to Alex Bregman at 7:10 tonight. First pitch. Holland with that relief outing in Boston, as we've seen happen quite a bit for the Sox starters this year. Holland and Pelfrey, and here are the umpires for tonight.
Sean Barber's got the plate. Ted Barrett, the crew chief, is at first. Angel Hernandez. John Tumpane is at third base.
Inside 2-1 on Bregman, but the Sox have seen both Derek Holland and Mike Pelfrey come out of the bullpen as starters on their throw day, and we just learned today Mike Pelfrey is headed to the bullpen full-time with Reynaldo Lopez, as general manager Rick Hahn said before the game, on his way up for a start on Friday.
And it's going to be nice to see some of the younger players, guys who were acquired in trades. Lopez came over from the Nationals. He had some experience last year, so this will not be new to him.
Called a strike on Bregman, 3-2 from Holland to Alex Bregman, the 23-year-old out of LSU.
This one is borderline, and nice job of framing by Kevin Smith.
That's inside, ball 4, and a leadoff walk to Bregman from Derek Holland, who throws the ball inside as much as any pitcher in Major League Baseball from the left-hand side. In fact, more than anybody. Percent of pitches to right-handed batters inside from a lefty. Derek Holland is #1 in baseball, and we saw it play out to Bregman right there.
And Derek does it mostly with his fastball. Clayton Kershaw, on the other hand, does it with his cutter inside. And he started throwing the ball in LA, so they will expect him back in the not too distant future. And Houston is waiting for Carlos Correa to come back, and they figure about 3 weeks for him.
Really no rush, considering the Astros are up 15 games in the American League West.
All they got to make sure is that he is healthy for the playoffs, because he means so much to this team. He's hitting .320 when he went down, with 20 home runs and 67 driven in 84 games.
Altuve to right field. It's carrying. Garcia's back on it to make the play, and welcome back Avi on a long run against Jose Altuve, Major League Baseball's leading hitter.
A test early, and Avi passed it. He's gotten much better defensively, and he gets a good break on this ball. Altuve, surprising power. And that time he hits a line drive rocket. Avi got a good break on it, ran to the spot on a ball that was slicing away from him, and he made the catch.
Altuve's got surprising everything. He's 5'6". He's one of the best players in the on the planet.
And I would think 5'6" would be stretching it. I'll take the under.
Yeah. It's called a ball to Reddick, and pretty clearly a strike. So ball and no strikes on Reddick.
Reddick is hitting left-handers this year, which is something he had some problems with in years past. But this year, for whatever reason, everything coming together for him, he's been terrific for the Astros.
Pickoff move by Holland, and he has his man. Bregman is cut down.
Jose had to get a good angle on the throw, because like so many runners will do, if you got a left-handed first baseman, a guy's going to move in toward the center of the diamond. Right-handed first baseman, he's going to move out a bit and try to make it a little more difficult for the first baseman to get an angle. You see him as he moves to his right just a touch, but Jose moved inside and he got a good angle, and he was out easily at second. So well defended by the boys.
You mentioned during the Boston series the improvement of Jose Abreu even in that series defensively.
It's really been remarkable. And you know, you take a look at a guy who came over with a reputation of being a world-class hitter. He's been every bit of the world-class hitter as advertised. But he also came over with a reputation of being not the best fielder around, and he had some problems early in this year. But because he has a lot of pride and because he's a tireless worker, he worked very hard on his defense, and we're seeing it's worked wonders. He's been not only an adequate first baseman, he's been an excellent first baseman for the better part of the last month and a half. And the credit goes to Joe McEwing and the man you're looking at for working really hard on a daily basis.
And as you mentioned, it's something he takes pride in, Jose Abreu.
Absolutely. And you know, it was really funny because when he came over and they wanted to use him more as a DH, or at least half the time a DH, he said, no, absolutely not, because I believe I can help the team when I don't have the bat in my hand. I believe I can help him defensively. This year he's set out to prove that.
Called ball 4 just outside, so Holland certainly would like that one pitch back, the first pitch, but it is a walk with 2 down. 2017 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate. Low mortgage rates and a fast, easy process. Learn more at rate.com. 38-15 on the road for the Houston Astros.
It's been remarkable, and I've been looking at it all season long and just marveling at their consistent, well-played baseball away from Minute Maid Park.
Right now, they would have the 3rd best road record in Major League history. 3rd place to the 1939 Yankees and the 2001 Mariners, who were 59-22 away from home. Called a strike. 0-2 on Yuli Gurriel. Abreu and Moncada on the right side of the White Sox infield. Gurriel, Cuban. Jose Abreu and he are friends, certainly, from their days in Cuba.
Gurriel is 35 years old, so they got him as an older player. Gave him a 4-year contract for a great deal of money. But he's shown offensively he can really hit the baseball.
There's a swing and a miss for strike 3. Holland 2 walks and a strikeout, a pickoff as well. No score as the Sox will take aim against Dallas Keuchel after this. Brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Avi's back. He's in the 4th position. Tim Anderson, the leadoff hitter. Saladino, Abreu, then Garcia. Smith bumps down to 5, and Moncada. Garcia, Delmonico DHing tonight, and Engel batting 9th.
Take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Dallas Keuchel. It's Gonzalez, Marisnik, and Reddick in the outfield with Davis, Bregman, Altuve, and Gurriel in the infield. Ryan McCann has the plate. And Dallas Keuchel on the hill. Got off to a 9-0 start, then went on the DL 2 different times with a pinched nerve in his neck. There you look at the numbers, they're still spectacular. A whip of 1 and opponent's batting average of 204. He's got a great sinker.
We'll face Tim Anderson first. More than half the time Keuchel throws that fastball, and Tim has been a pretty good fastball hitter time with the Sox.
You want to get him the first couple of innings before that sinker really starts to sink, and if you can do that, instead of ground balls, you hit line drives. Keuchel's got a good overhand curve. He's got a straight change to go with it, but his bread and butter when he won the Cy Young Award was that sinker. He threw it away from the right-handers. They'd ground to the left side consistently.
You mentioned the DL stints this year. Those were neck related, but last year Keuchel has said that he didn't feel 100% in terms of his arm and his shoulder, and the numbers bore it out in what was his worst season so far in this string of very strong years.
Well, as a sinker baller, you better have pinpoint control, and if anything goes wrong, if your arm is not 100%, you're going to have some problems.
Line pass, third base hit. Anderson on its way to extra bases. Tim motoring to second as Gonzalez throws it in. Leadoff double for Tim.
Well, there's an example of getting a ball that 2 innings from now is going to sink, and he would have grounded to third base. But here in the first inning, it's not sinking quite as much as it should. Consequently, he hits it right on the button and takes it by Davis at third base. Davis has got a cannon for an arm, but he doesn't have much range. And we saw it come into play there. First step quickness for a third baseman is essential. If you don't have it, you're not going to play as well at third as you would like. But a good way to start this one.
Both of these teams are not the guys you want to face if you have a left-handed pitcher on the mound. The Sox have hit .274 against lefties this year. The Astros are even better at .283. Saladino left side and through. Anderson's on his way to third. Runners at the corners, nobody out.
Jason was talking about 2 years ago, 2015, when Keuchel went 20-8 with an ERA below 2.5. And he won the Cy Young Award. And this time, through the left side, again, taking advantage, although not by design, taking advantage of Davis and not having the great range at third. So runners to the corners and nobody out as they try to break things open here in the first inning.
Yeah, that year in 2015, a whip of 1.017 for the year.
Just a remarkable season overall. 216 strikeouts, 48 walks.
Strike one to Abreu, who's taken Keuchel deep twice in his career. He's 3 for 9 with 2 homers against Dallas Keuchel.
Altuve playing up the middle. They don't expect Jose to shoot it through the right side.
Called ball 1.
Well, that was a terrific pitch. And so far, Sean Barber hasn't given either pitcher the low strike. With a sinker baller, if you don't get the low strike, you've got big problems. That's a pitch that Dallas Keuchel has to have called a strike.
Especially considering hitters' swing paths nowadays. I mean, if you're not going to throw the ball pinpoint low in the zone, you're probably going to get burned at some point during the night.
Well, if hitters pick up the fact that whoever is behind the plate is not calling that low pitch, they're going to take just about everything Keuchel throws until they get a rolling breaking ball or maybe a changeup he leaves up.
2-1. Fouled away by Abreu. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jose, 360 batting average against left-handed pitchers this year. He and Avi together have tormented southpaws this season. Not the Sox mascot, but all the other southpaws.
Well, they might have tried to take advantage of southpaw too. He is a very gregarious fellow, you know.
You're speaking to his naivete?
Some of that.
2 balls and 2 strikes. There he goes off speed for strike 3 and out number 1 of Dallas Keuchel's night.
There's the hook, and it's a good one. So Keuchel, when he was right early in the season, was averaging just over 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Has a strikeout early in this one.
He does do a magnificent job of convincing hitters to ground into double play balls.
When you're throwing sinkers and you're around the strike zone a lot, you're going to get more than your share of ground balls, and they get turned into 2 quite a bit.
Opposing hitters, 16 out of 48 possible opportunities, 33% have grounded into the double play for Dallas Keuchel.
Normally they got Carlos Correa at shortstop, and Bregman was a shortstop by trade, but coming to Houston, where you have an all-world shortstop, he had to learn how to play third base, which he was doing a nice job of. But now with Correa out, he has moved back to his natural position, that of a shortstop. And Bregman's a good young player.
He was one of those can't-touch guys for the Astros in deadline deals. That ball scorched on the ground, and Avi Garcia has an RBI in his return from the DL. The Sox lead 1-0.
That's 55 driven in for Avi. He does a nice job of taking that sinker, shortening his stroke, taking it through the right side. You see, he was not trying to hit that ball out of the ballpark. He just wanted to make some good solid contact, make sure with his speed he wasn't going to ground into 2, and it turned into gold for him.
It's got to make you think back to what Ricky Renteria told us even in spring training. You don't need to hit home runs. That's not what we need you to do necessarily. Just hit the ball hard and put it in play.
That is the biggest part of Avi's game this year over the last few years, and that's just experience. You take a young player, comes in with all the skills that Avi has, and quite naturally what he wants to do is start to hit 50 home runs every year. But realistically, that's not going to happen, and you do yourself a disservice, because if you swing like that, you're going to hit 210. And Ricky was trying to explain to Avi, you're so strong, and the exit velocity is great.
Runners are off, and they both swipe a bag. Saladino to third, Garcia to second. It was herky-jerky for the Astros. McCann couldn't figure out if he had anywhere to throw, and the answer was no.
What you should do here is try to go to second base. He looked at it right away, but realized he couldn't get there, and that's one thing McCann behind the plate gives you, because he can do a lot of things well. He calls them well, he receives the ball well, frames it well, does not throw well.
And that throwing situation is part of the reason he is last of anybody on the Astros in that defensive runs saved category. He's -9 for the year behind the plate.
And that's the one thing that has been problematic for him. He does a lot of things that you want for a winning catcher. Just throwing is not one of them.
Infield in for the Astros. Saladino at third, Garcia at second.
This is probably from the advanced scouts. He takes one look back, and then Tyler goes, and there's no doubt that is from the advanced scouts looking at Keuchel and realizing he very rarely looks back twice.
It's amazing the small things or larger things that a pitcher does that are tips.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that you have to do. You have to vary your times. You have to occasionally try a pickoff play even when you don't think you can get them. You got to do things to disrupt the base runners. And Tyler is a heads-up player. When he sees something like that, he's going to take advantage of it.
Moncada on deck, and 3-2 for Kevin Smith. There's Yohan getting ready for his first encounter with Dallas Keuchel. 3 balls, 2 strikes. That's ball 4. They're loaded. Let's take a look at our picks to click for tonight. You can vote online, whitesox.com/picks. The crew goes with Saladino, heads up play. You're maybe in the lead. Steve's got Delmonico. I've got Kevin Smith, a really big walk. But the fans, with a double and a run scored for Tim Anderson, have got to be the clubhouse leader.
Not yet. Fans have to show that they can get established.
Not yet.
No.
That's what the clubhouse leader is. It's a leader for yet. For the interim, before there's an actual leader.
I'm going to look up to see what Webster has to say about that.
The sitcom?
Mitch Webster.
Oh, okay. Bases loaded, 1 down, and Moncada takes a called strike.
Yohan started swinging it very well in Boston. In fact, very well from both sides of the plate. And as we know, he's a little stronger hitter, left-handed than right. But he hit the ball hard from both sides of the plate. As you look at the bases, full of socks.
Saladino, Garcia, and Smith. The ball low to Yohan Moncada, who's walked 9 times, struck out 21. It is 52 at bat White Sox career so far. Moncada left side and through. That's a base hit. Saladino's home. Base is still loaded. 2-0.
RBI number 7 for Moncada. Told he was swinging it a little bit better, and here's a hanging curveball. This one just stayed right up in his eyes. There's a lot of people going to hit that one, and he takes it through the left side. Marwin Gonzalez, who is their jack of all trades, an infielder by trade. He's got a pretty strong arm. Not a great outfielder, but a pretty strong arm. And that's why Nick Capra recently activated to his position as the third base coach, held him up.
He said to us on the road trip, hopefully he got the thumbs up today. He did, and he's gotten to wave 2 home in the first 6 batters. Leury Garcia takes the ball low. You said it, get to Dallas Keuchel early, or maybe not get to him at all.
Well, you get to him before that sinker really starts to sink, and the boys have been very aggressive, but Keuchel is missing his spots.
It's a chopper foul from Garcia. "23 pitches already for Dallas Keuchel in this first inning.
A couple of years ago, Keuchel made things look very easy all season long. Right now, there's nothing easy.
Remember, too, he was the guy at the trade deadline that said, look, disappointed would be an understatement that we didn't make a move here in Houston to make this team better. And that's not to say it's affecting him in this first inning, but there's certainly a little disappointment, a little less joy maybe in Mudville on the mound than there would have been had the clubhouse been restocked with even more talent. Left side, Davis cuts it off, and he will only get 1. The Sox get a run on the RBI ground out from Garcia. 3 on the board here in the first.
RBI number 25. And with this chopper, there's really no chance to even think about either 1, coming home with it, or 2, the double play. Not with the speed of Leury. And Altuve, taking a look at the only play he might have had, that was the third base where Kevin Smith was not rounding the bag, as Nick Capra told him, balls in the infield, stay here.
First and third, 2 down for Nicky Delmonico, who had a hit in each game in Boston and has started his White Sox career with a bang. Batting 8th today, being a lefty versus a lefty.
A couple of things were very impressive in Boston. Number 1, when the shift was on, he bunted perfectly up the left side. And 2, he is a dead pull hitter, but he hit the ball hard to left and left center field.
Checked his swing, and he didn't go. 2 balls, no strikes. Dallas Keuchel last 2 starts off the DL, as we told you about. 8 total innings, 6 earned runs, so he hasn't been the same guy as before the injury. Altuve at second throws out Delmonico, and the inning's over. But the Sox grabbed 3 runs in the first inning against the former Cy Young winner. 3-0 after 1. lead. Good time to stay hydrated at the ballpark, although it's a very temperate night tonight. The weather this homestand seems like it's going to be pretty good. Last homestand was just outstanding.
78 degrees at game time in early August. It's almost miraculous.
That's a keeper. Marwin Gonzalez looks at strike one. A report from the LA Times, Steve, has Joe West suspended 3 games after calling Adrian Beltre the game's biggest complainer in USA Today.
Well, look, I mean, from a strictly pragmatic standpoint, the player is going to pick up a suspension for criticizing an individual umpire about what he does or does not do on the field. So with turnabout being fair play, you would think that that's what happens when you decide to voice an opinion.
Into center field, Marwin Gonzalez with a leadoff single in the second inning. Time to look at today's farm report, and it is former possible #1 overall pick Alec Hansen, the Carolina League Player of the Week at Winston-Salem with a shutout against Potomac. 6 innings of shutout ball. His last 2 starts, 12 innings, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 24 strikeouts. Back-to-back 12 strikeout days for Boomer Sooner, Alec Hansen.
Alec Hansen, the only question is, was there going to be 3 pitches? Could he command them all? Because his arm and his stuff, definitely major league caliber.
I mean, here's a guy who was slated to be, before his final year in college, the #1 overall pick. He dropped off that season. The Sox got a discount in terms of draft slot as Garcia makes the catch on Beltran and 1 away here in the second inning.
It happens all the time. We see guys that either get hurt or they have a really tough year for whatever year, and the year that they're going to be drafted, and they fall. When the Sox drafted Chris Sale, everybody felt he was going to be slated for top 5 in the draft. But because he was thin, and when the Sox drafted him, he weighed 168 pounds, he dropped to the 13th pick, and the Sox were gladly there to take him. And that worked out pretty well.
But isn't it amazing? I mean, with so many outliers on the field, so many guys that don't, quote, look the part, like Jose Altuve, right?
Yeah.
He's 5'6", one of the best players in baseball. That we still have that sort of bias in drafting. We still have the eye test playing above the skill test sometimes.
Well, that's the beauty of this game, is because of Dustin Pedroia winning the MVP, Altuve right there with him in just about every category. So you can play this game and not only play it, but you can excel at this game, and you don't have to be a giant. You don't have to be miraculously fast. It helps. You don't have to be. And Altuve is living proof that you can star and be not the tallest man on the planet.
It's a guy that was cut from Little League teams. He's too small.
That can happen.
Yeah, and he's a 364 hitter. So
and all world and everything else.
Ball and 2 strikes on Davis, who's 1 for 4 in his major league time. Lone hit against Marco Estrada of Toronto. They always seem to have big dudes on the way up. Big, powerful bats.
You're going to play a corner, you better have one of those.
Well, we just talked about how the stature of the person doesn't matter so much.
No, because he's a second baseman. Put him at third and see if that stature matters.
You didn't fall for the trap that I set for you and sprung
Yes.
unceremoniously. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Davis. Gonzalez at first, 1 out. And fouled away. Odd scheduling. Sox and Astros haven't played, and it's August the 8th.
Well, judging by the standings, it's probably not a bad thing. Well, this Houston team has been miraculous this year. The division race, as you look at A.J. Hinch, their skipper. Division race, not much.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Derek Holland has his second strikeout of the night.
That one biting down and in, and Davis well over the top of it.
Two down for McCann, 33-year-old catcher. Takes strike number 1. Can you believe this is game number 110 already?
It's pretty amazing. It's a year that's seen over 2/3 of the season already played.
One and one, fades outside. 2 balls and a strike on McCann.
Derek Holland did not give up a run in the first inning. That makes it 5 straight starts. He hasn't given up a run in the first. So is that close to the league lead? Well, if you put a 1 in front of it and it's Clayton Kershaw, he's done it for 15 straight starts.
McCann, a bloop. Angle can't get there. So it's a single for Brian McCann. 2 on, 2 out for Marisnick.
Sox fans, you can check out the White Sox blog at WGNTV.com, presented by Nationwide's Jeff Vukovich. Go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media, because Nationwide is on your side.
That Kershaw number you were talking about, just thinking back, and the start here that Kershaw had, Sox got 2 on with 2 out in the first inning. That was the day of the deal with the Yankees, so the lineup was scraped up a little bit in terms of possible need for whiteout in the scorebook, but Sox got 2 runners on in that first inning, couldn't score.
And Miguel Gonzalez, as good as he was, and he was very good that day, lost 1-0 to best pitcher in the world.
You do your lineup in pen.
Absolutely.
We've had a lot of lineup changes late this season. You just do the scratch out for people wondering at home. If the lineup changes late, how are you supposed to do it in the stands?
Well, I make 2 or 3 different lineups, and anticipating the changes, I just fit whichever one is in there.
Safe the call, very close. Gonzalez just got back. Derek Holland has flashed a very strong pickoff throw to second base.
And that's a good way to shorten up a secondary lead, as Gonzalez did not get back to the bag right away. Moncada did. The throw is perfect. He just missed getting it. That throw is right there, but unfortunately Gonzalez's hand was in, and Derek wants him to take another look at it, thinking that they might have gotten him.
Only problem for Derek is he was in the way of our replay. Tell him to move.
Move.
No, not
later.
Now?
Oh,
like in the future.
Move later.
No.
Oh, that's not it either.
You're going to do a couple shows in Joplin next week. Foul ball from Marisnick.
Jake Marisnick's had a pretty solid year for a guy who's always been known as a supreme defender. He's an excellent center fielder. This year, 13 home runs. That's a career best.
And 9 of the 13 have gone 400 feet.
There'll be more than a few players this year with their career best in home runs. Not saying the ball is a lot livelier, or it might be a little tighter, or the seams might be down a bit. We're not saying that. It's just, it's a miraculous coincidence.
Do you often list the things you're not saying, or is this special for this occasion?
I will list them occasionally. Yeah, and that's the case here.
2-1. Swing and a miss.
I believe a couple of years ago, at this exact date, they had hit home runs for the year that we have accomplished the first week of August. 2015, we're going to fly by that by plenty.
Really started in the second half of 2015, the surge in home runs, and we've seen an even greater spike this year.
Pretty close pitch inside, did not get it, and it was a good call because it was off the plate. Bregman in the on deck circle if Marisnick can keep it alive.
Former third-round pick of the Blue Jays back in 2009, Jake Marisnick. He was in the Mark Burley trade in 2012. And he takes ball 4. So they're loaded with 2 down, 5 base runners so far for Houston, but no runs to show for it as yet. Renteria and Don Cooper, who have a reconstituted bullpen again today, with Mike Pelfrey joining the cavalry. If you just joined us, you didn't hear us mention it earlier, Ronaldo Lopez is coming up for his first career start with the White Sox on Friday. Pitcher who was in the Adam Eaton deal in the offseason. Ball 1 to Bregman, who walked in the first.
With the bases loaded, I would say pretty good. The early returns. Bregman's going to be an excellent player. Out of LSU, who's always had good, solid baseball teams, and now a meeting at the mound now that Derek has gone 2-0 after 3 walks in the early going, so control has been an issue early.
Last 3 starts for Derek Holland, an average of 4 walks per start. He had 5 3-walk games all year prior to those 3 straight. So the walks have increased recently. Hi, Grandma. That's for everyone. Just say hi to your grandma. Is it an unoccupied sign as well? Who put that there?
Grandpa.
Was that before or after the reindeer issue? You and Grandpa, you believe?
I think so.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, Bregman is up on the bat, which is normally a good thing.
2 balls and a strike. Into right center field, in big trouble for Alex Bregman. Up the alleyway it goes, and the bases will all be spilled out at home. Throw to third on Bregman is not in time, and it's a 3-run triple for the young shortstop for the Astros to tie the game.
It's very rare that you get away with a whole lot of walks against a good offensive team. And this Houston team is a great offensive team. So a high fastball driven in the gap in right center field all the way to the wall and unloads the loaded bases.
Now 9 straight games with an extra base hit for Alex Bregman.
That's pretty amazing. But that's the kind of talent he has. Their first-round draft pick.
You look at where that puts him in terms of Astros history. It's now the 3rd longest streak in Astro history. He was tied with Morgan Ensberg, who did it back in 2006. Bregman slugging .867 through that run of now 9 games straight with an extra base hit.
He was the 2nd player picked in the first round in 2015. So they knew that he was going to be a very good player. I don't know if they thought that he would come along as quickly as he has, but he got up last year.
Ball and 2 strikes on Altuve, and you look around at 2-strike batting averages around Major League Baseball, and most guys are under 200. It's not a favorable spot to be in. Altuve's a 234 hitter with 2 strikes. Some people take that for the year.
Well, he's not thinking about hitting the ball out of the ballpark. When he hits them, and he does hit them, he's hit 16 of them. It's not a rarity because he's very strong. But he doesn't try to hit every ball out of the ballpark, and that's the reason for the batting average in the 360s.
17 points better than anybody else in Major League Baseball coming into tonight. One and 2 from Derek Holland. Altuve rips it to center field. Engel is there to retire the side, but the Astros tie the game on the 2-out triple from Alex Bregman.
By visiting WGNTV.com and click on the Game Zone for the latest stats and information. Dodd Camera, family owned and serving Chicagoland for over 125 years. Dodd Camera, where the focus is on you.
I would take the Sox old school jerseys over the Astros old school jerseys.
In like the Rainbow Affair?
What? That's isn't that a book?
Yeah, right after the Thomas Crown Affair.
Rainbow Connection? Or that's the Kermit the
Rainbow
Frog song?
Bridge. Jimi Hendrix.
Isn't that how you get to Canada too, the Rainbow Bridge?
Close.
No, there is the Rainbow Bridge.
Is it really?
I think so.
There it is. There's the rainbow.
They look like, it looks like somebody took the Match Game set and turned it into a jersey. A lot of orange.
Very popular these days.
Match Game?
No, that jersey.
Oh. You don't see many Colt 45 jerseys around.
That's because they played outside, and most of the people are dead from those days. Apparently, for 50 cents, you would get a bug spray. They would go around. That was probably the greatest concession they had in those days.
For the early 60s, 50 cents sounds a little expensive for bug spray.
Not if you saw mosquitoes the size of Buicks, which is basically what they were down there. Not to mention sitting around in that humidity, that was not a great place to go watch a game.
That's why the Astrodome was such a wonder.
It was wondrous.
Astrodome with its bowling alley inside.
When it opened, what they called the eighth wonder of the world, I mean, it was a magnificent structure, and it gave way to just a structure with gigantic rats. Wow.
So if If the bugs were the size of Buicks at the old place, what were the rats the size of at the Astrodome? We'll find out after this play. Keuchel to first, and he does have the out to start the second inning.
Good play by Dallas Keuchel as he realized Engel could really run, but he took his time and then got it over there with a step to spare.
The rat's the size of Dallas Keuchel's beard?
No, that would be diminutive compared to some of the ones that I saw personally.
Come on.
I mean, you've heard the stories, but I actually saw them, and they were truly the size of cats.
No.
Oh yeah, truly.
When was this?
This was, well, when I was playing, which was 1940, 42, something like that, before the big war.
So still, when you're saying when the Astrodome was in use?
Yes.
Still?
Absolutely.
Not like
no.
when it was dilapidated and
well,
done.
I wouldn't go in there when it was dilapidated.
Well, I
have a no dilapidated clause in my contract. But yeah, when it was still in use, because I used to sit there and things would drop down from the stands.
What things?
Peanuts, popcorn, various other food items, and the rats, taking advantage of that, just grew very big.
Oof.
Yeah, I know.
No thanks.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Tapper in front of the plate. Keuchel pressed into duty again, and he serves it on time for out number 2.
This is not a particularly good sign, only in that if Dallas Keuchel now starts to get the feel for the sinker, you're going to continue to see more and more ground balls. And although that was a change, if the ball is sinking for him, you're going to have to really fight to get a few more runs in this one.
Among pitchers with at least 80 innings, so that's the qualifier, but at least 80 innings this year, he leads the majors in ground ball percentage, 66% ground balls from Keuchel. Saladino singled to left in the first, part of a 4-hit first inning for the Sox. In the air left side, Marwin Gonzalez is underneath, and a 1-2-3 inning for Dallas Keuchel as we mosey along to the third. Three-three tie into the third inning. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew along with you. Thanks for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday evening for baseball in Chicagoland. Sox got 3 in the first. The Astros countered with an Alex Bregman 3-run triple last inning. And here we are. A couple of really nice pitching matchups going on right now in Major League Baseball. Chris Sale and the Red Sox leading 1-0 over Austin Pruitt and Tampa Bay in the 6th, but Pruitt, the rookie, holding his own. And then in Cleveland, Colorado up 1-0, bottom 7. That's Kluber versus Marquez.
Not a whole lot of hitting so far. There's 3 1-0 games so far, and 1 2-1 game as Philadelphia leads Atlanta. That game in the top of the 5th. They're in Atlanta.
Milwaukee and Minnesota tonight are rekindling their disdain for one another, previously felt in the American League Central.
And 1-0. A game in the top of the 3rd.
To right field on a line, Garcia is on it for out number 1.
Chicagoland viewers, text Subway to 97999 right now, and the 300th texter is going to win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Subway, so much sandwich. Make mine a meatball sub, if you will, if you're going to go out like between innings.
Do I look like a sandwich artist?
Could very well be.
I forgot my sandwich smock at home. Holland to Gurriel. And Yuli Gurriel fouls it away for strike 1. Here's a strikeout victim back in the 1st. 1 of 2 for Derek Holland so far.
On base percentage, unbelievably good.
Especially for a guy who doesn't see much in the way of an amount of pitches. He has the fewest pitches per plate appearance in Major League Baseball. And here he will see 3. Towering fly ball left center and angle. Friday, August 11th, it's rock and roll night presented by Guaranteed Rate as the Sox take on the Kansas City Royals, 7:10 p.m. Join us as we rock out to live cover bands before and during the game. Plus, be sure to stay for the post-game fireworks show. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. It's Melky's return to Chicago. Melky's coming back to a place he said he wanted to finish his career in.
You never know what happens. I mean, he wouldn't be the first to get traded away and then come back via the free agent market. Marwin Gonzalez turned out to be an excellent trade, and they got him back in 2011 from Boston. Marco Duarte and Cash going Boston's way. That didn't work out very well for them, but Gonzalez has been a very good player for Houston.
Mike Kashersky?
Close to it.
Oh, not that Cash.
No.
Oh, somebody actually did make the high grandma sign. It was an Astro fan, though.
The best, not just a fan of the Astros, but the best.
How do you rate the best fan?
Put it on a sign.
It's that easy, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. 1-2 on Marwin Gonzalez.
He came in with a .257 lifetime batting average, and for a guy that doesn't play every day and really hasn't played every day, that's not too bad. But this year he's gone above and beyond. He's got 20 home runs, 66 driven in.
It's just really a deep team that the Astros have. The lineup is deep as it is, and they're without George Springer and Carlos Correa right now.
And they're going to get Springer back first, and then Correa's going to come back. Correa's going to be here about 3 weeks or so from now, and they will have him back and ready to go for the postseason.
Fouled off the dugout by Gonzalez. I mean, the Astros entering play today were 8.5 better than anybody else in the American League. The Red Sox 63-49. And we talked to A.J. Hinch last year about his experience the first go around as the manager of the Diamondbacks and how that's informed him in his current status with the Astros.
Well, he believes that, and justifiably so, that although at the time he wouldn't have mentioned it, but he was a 34-year-old manager when he took over the Diamondbacks, and he came out of their front office, and he said he just wasn't ready. There were many things as far as managing is concerned that he really didn't know. And the intellect is there, the baseball knowledge is there, but handling of people in a managerial role is something you've got to learn. He feels he's much better now. He also has a much better baseball team to deal with. And this was a good opportunity for him to take advantage of everything he learned the first time and put it into practice here now with a really strong baseball team.
You contrast that with Ricky Renteria on the Sox side, who spent so much time as a minor league manager in the 2000s. As Holland walks his 4th of the night. It's Gonzalez on with Beltran coming up. But Ricky Renteria, I mean, one of the first things you realize when you talk to him is he has this wonderful, I don't want to say innate because it's learned in some ways in the minors, but wonderful sense of people. He's got this great way about him to make you feel like the only person in the room, you being whomever he's talking to.
Yeah, dealing with people is his long suit. Dealing with them in a managerial role is something that you have to learn. And Ricky certainly paid his dues to learn it before getting this, his second chance to be a major league manager.
40-year-old Carlos Beltran. Flied out early in the count on 1 strike in the 2nd inning.
Beltran, the left-handed, 266 hitter. 12 of his 13 home runs have come as a lefty. As a right-hand hitter, just 188. 1 home runs, 6 driven in. And only 86 at-bats right-handed.
A 20-year major league career for Carlos Beltran.
He's been able to swing the bat everywhere he's gone. That's what's kept him around. But at first, he was a great defensive player. That was before the legs gave out.
Ripped past shortstop and a base hit for Beltran. Gonzalez turns second for third, and he slides safely. Gonzalez beats the throw by a hair, and runners at first and third for Houston.
Well, he was able to beat the play, but it's not a play you would like to make. And it was a whole lot closer than perhaps he thought it was going to be, as Don Cooper is going to come out now as the pitches have started to pile up on Derek Holland. But never wanting to make the third out at third base. This is a hanging curveball. If you're going to go to third with 2 outs, you better make sure that you're there easily. And he wasn't there all that easily. Even though Leury was going away from the throw, moving to his left, having to plant and then get the throw off, he made a good throw and almost got it there in time.
Would you rather have Engel make that play?
If he could get to the ball as quickly as Leury could have, it would have been pretty good. But on a ground ball, whoever gets to the ball quicker is going to make the play. I think, although the center fielder would be set up to make the throw naturally, Leary's got a stronger arm, so maybe it evens out.
Rally percolating for the Astros, who had nobody on with 2 out. Now Davis takes ball 1. J.D. Davis, drafted just 3 years ago out of Cal State Fullerton, that powerhouse program out west.
Fullerton has had a really good program for a long time.
It's usually 1 or even 2 ace pitchers coming out of Fullerton. Justin Turner, a Cal State Fullerton guy who didn't blossom right away as a major league player, but boy, has he been a dramatic part of that Dodger team.
Early in his career, it was a question of would he be able to play enough positions to be the swingman that he looked like he was destined to be. But the last couple of years, Turner has swung the bat very well, played a great third base. Turned out to be a huge plus for the Dodgers. the world's best baseball team at this point. 79-32 are those Los Angeleses. They're pretty good.
Holland gets a strikeout and strands 2 in the inning. Bottom 3 next in a tie game at 3.
Injury report, and it is the Cleveland Indians losing Josh Tomlin and Andrew Miller. As you can see, Tomlin not having a great year. Miller was. They're going to miss him, but they feel he will be back. So Kipnis comes off. Those two go on. Injury report is brought to you by Dr. Anthony Romeo, proud member of Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Go to RomeoOrthopedics.com or call 312-432-2342.
Jose Abreu, an ambush of Dallas Keuchel, and a base hit as Gonzalez fumbles with it for a moment, but not long enough for Abreu to move as the Astros kick it all around Chicagoland for an instant.
There's an example for some of you young pitchers out there. If you don't have a specific play, get yourself in a position in line with a throw coming back to the infield, because you never know when it's going to go away.
Take a look at what the Sox hitters have done against left-handed fastballs. Dallas Keuchel throwing more than 50% fastballs. Leury's hit him well, Avi's hit him well, Abreu's hit him well, and Anderson has hit him well. And right now, of those 4, only Leury Garcia doesn't have a hit in the game, and Leury does have an RBI. But to your point, the nuances of pitching include what you're doing after you release the ball.
Yep, just get in line with the throw coming in, because if it does get away, you certainly don't want to give up 90 feet.
In the air, right center field. Marisnick back at the warning track and the wall. Marisnick can't make the play. It rings around the outfield, and the race is on. Abreu and Garcia. Avi stops at second base. Abreu at third.
Well, with nobody on base, Avi's got himself probably an inside the park home run. But Jose, knowing number 1, Marisnick is an excellent center fielder, and number 2, he wasn't quite sure if he was going to make this play. Keuchel, when he released the ball, just dropped his head. He thought it was going to be a home run. Marisnick comes across, and normally he makes that play. This time he just didn't. So it hits off the heel of the glove and then really bounds away. Jose, thinking he was going to make the play, he went back to possibly tag up because he had been able to get to second base. Turns out he can only get the third. Now he gets a double.
And a plum RBI chance for Kevin Smith, who walked back in the first. Infield back in the middle for Houston. Kevin takes strike one. If you're going to beat Houston, you need to pretty much take advantage of all these chances that you're given, because they are best in just about every offensive category you can find in Major League Baseball as a team. When
you get a chance with runners in scoring position, nobody out, you better score them both in this case. Because the team you're playing is going to score, and they're going to score a lot.
The Astros have a better batting average by 15 points, better on base percentage by 11, and better slugging percentage by 31 of the second place team in every category.
Just an amazing year for them.
2 balls and a strike on Smith.
Surprising thing, and maybe this is a product of having as many guys injured as they've had, but with a quality pitching staff, and they're 5th in the league, the defense has been way down. Not a usual Houston defense.
Like McCann got crossed up for a moment as that pitch was coming home. Now 3-1. Veteran catcher Brian McCann with his pitcher teetering. Moncada on deck. 3-1 to Smith.
That time Kevin got a little over anxious because Keuchel, for the most part, said, look, I got first base open. I don't mind walking you to try to set up the potential double play. And he threw a fastball way out of the zone. Kevin could not check it up.
Three balls and 2 strikes. Avi at second, Jose at third, and Smith a rocket fair. 2 will score. Kevin Smith bashes one into the corner. It's a 2-run double.
RBI 17 and 18. So after expanding his strike zone, he goes after a curveball. This one doesn't break sharply, and he takes it right down the line. You see Davis well off the line. There was a time when a left-hand pitcher would throw an off-speed breaking ball to a hitter, the third baseman would know that it was coming and move closer to the line. They don't do that these days, and consequently sometimes they get burned, and that was an example of it.
Ball number 1 on Yoan Moncada. Two and 0 now, and you look at the numbers on Dallas Keuchel the first 3 months of the season. In April, his breaking ball got slugged at a 296 clip. In May, it was 143. And then you look at the last couple of starts, it's hovering in the 750 realm combined in terms of what the breaking ball is getting hit for, slugging percentage, and we just saw Kevin Smith ride one down the line.
If Dallas Keuchel was a fastball pitcher, he could afford to lose 2 months of a season and come back and not seemingly lose a lot, because that fastball, he's going to come back, it would be just like it was before. But he's a touch pitcher. He's a field pitcher, a finesse pitcher. And when you don't have that touch or that finesse, you're not going to be able to hit your spots if you're not doing that, or if you're rolling breaking balls, you're going to get hurt, because he's not a big strikeout pitcher normally. He's a contact pitcher who throws a lot of ground balls. It's just not happening for him tonight.
He's been off the mark 3 or 4 times to Yoan Moncada. Astros already down Lance McCullers due to injury. Keuchel on the DL a couple of times this year. The bullpen has taken the brunt of that.
What has been speculated a few times is that along with McCullers and Keuchel, it's felt that they might have come off the DL a little too soon. They wanting to get back and take advantage of a wonderful year for them. Sometimes you have to let nature take its course and not rush back. There was no urgency to get them back because they've made a shambles of the division race.
Still isn't any urgency.
No, but you know, you want to come back and play. If you're a pitcher, you want to come back and pitch as quickly as you can, and sometimes you become your own worst enemy.
3-2. That's high, ball 4. Moncada coaxes a walk. 2 on, nobody out. Elvis Night, Friday, August 25th, here at Guaranteed Rate Field. Join us in remembering the king of rock and roll as the Sox take on the Tigers, 7:10 p.m. Be sure to stay for a post-game fireworks show. Visit whitesox.com to get your tickets today.
Brent Strom, the pitching coach and former crafty left-hander, goes to the mound. Try to settle down his former Cy Young Award winner. But it's almost inconceivable that you would be on the disabled list twice, miss close to 2 months during the course of a season, and then come back in this just his 3rd start and have the same kind of stuff you had when you went on the DL the first time. And we've seen quite obviously tonight, this is no semblance of the Dallas Keuchel of a couple of years ago.
How do you make that decision, though, as a pitcher? Because you're talking about possibly rushing back because you want to pitch. How do you know when too soon is actually too soon?
You don't, and that's the catch-22 of it, because when you're going through something where you no longer have any pain, you believe that you are back and close to 100% of what you left with. The only problem is you lose a considerable amount of strength during the time, in this case of 2 months, you're on the shelf. And so it's not that he's going to get hurt again. They hope not, although, you know, with a pinched nerve in your neck, you never really know. But it's a fact that he's got to come back and get that feel again, and it's probably not going to be there. If you consider what spring training is like, 5 or 6 starts maybe. So 3 starts from now, he'll be more like he was early in the season. And we are probably seeing him at the right time as far as an opponent is concerned, because the stuff is just not what it will be.
3 pitches to the strikeout there of Garcia, and the 2nd strikeout tonight for Keuchel. There has been some discussion and nothing confirmed other than talks, according to reports, that the Astros and Tigers have been at least huddling on Justin Verlander.
They would be getting a guy who they wouldn't have to worry about as far as postseason play is concerned, because Verlander has pretty much done everything you'd want to do. However, where the sticking point is going to be is that huge contract, which goes on seemingly forever. When you have contracts like that, and every team has them, some teams do it more than others, but when you have them, and Detroit has seemingly an abundance of them, they would love to divest themselves of a few of them, although there's a couple of guys that they're not going to be able to get rid of with a backhoe. And Verlander is one of those guys, still has a lot of value, but there's so much money owed down the road that that's what the negotiation is all about.
Bonus strike on Delmonico, who bounced out in the 1st. Well, the Sox, I mean, you look at what the Sox have done, and there have been some contracts that people said were maybe not tradable, but certainly were possibly in the albatross department, and by paying some of it down, the trades were made, including Melky Cabrera.
Melky was one, and certainly when you looked at the contracts of Todd Frazier, David Robertson, you added another guy to the trade in Tommy Kahnle, and New York then took all the money, sending back Tyler Clippard to even out the money somewhat. But Yankees took a whole lot of money and a whole lot of future dollars off the payroll for the Sox. giving them financial flexibility. And Rick and Kenny were smart enough to put all three together, thinking number one, they would get a better return. Blake Rutherford's an example of that. And number two, divest themselves of monetary deals that tie your hands in next year.
3-1, good count for Nicky, and he takes a strike. It's 3 full counts now in the inning. Last 4 batters for Dallas Keuchel.
A.J. Hinch knows at this point it's not going to be a long outing for him. Because pitch number 62 on the way, and we're not through the third yet.
Breaking ball on the ground. Altuve spins it to second, and that's all they will get. Moncada out, Smith to third, Delmonico at first. Jose Altuve is pretty sleek at second base.
There's really, in looking at his entire game, when you evaluate every aspect of the game of Altuve, you realize there's no weak spots. He can hit for power, he can run, he plays very good defense. You got yourselves an excellent player, and surprisingly enough, he is probably a 4.5 tool player.
The power being the only half.
I would say, actually, I mean, you're looking at a guy who's going to hit 25 home runs, maybe more. You really wouldn't give him the half. I would give him the half on the arm. I mean, it's a good arm. It's just not. It's not one that you would consider this is an overpowering arm, which, you know, you expect if you're a 5-tool player.
In the dirt, blocked down by McCann. Three-game series with the Astros tomorrow and Thursday. Free T-shirt Thursday on Thursday. $1 hot dog Wednesday tomorrow.
Ooh, $1 hot dog. Yeah.
Homer Simpson now?
Well, the only thing that was different for me was that they give you a 4-dog max when you go to the concession stand, but that's per trip. So you can buy 4 dogs and then go right back to your seat and come back and buy another 4. Yeah. Then get a doctor and you'll be fine.
We had 2 in the booth last $1 hot dog Wednesday. I think we should try and up that game tomorrow. You going to join in this time?
Yeah, I think I might. Good straight change from Keuchel as he's about ready to deliver pitch number 67.
Two and two. Left side through, base hit, Adam Engel. Smith scores 6-3.
Adam reaches double figures in runs batted in. That's his 10th. That's a changeup, and it's down, and Adam stays right with it and takes it through the left side. When you're struggling, as Keuchel is, you do the job you want to do, which is get the ground ball, only the ground ball finds a hole and you don't get any outs.
Suddenly the top of the order hits for the 3rd time in 3 innings. And ball number 1 from Dallas Keuchel.
The pen is up and going. It's Joe Musgrove. He's one of the talented young Astro pitchers. A guy that a whole lot of people ask for in trades, along with Martez. And neither went anyplace.
That's part of the reason the Astros didn't make deals. They felt like they had some guys maybe that could be considered added cogs in the second half, either due to injury or due to maturation.
Jeff Luhnow just didn't get the return that he was looking for, and so consequently he made a deal. He got Francisco Liriano, but he didn't make the definitive deal to get a primetime starter.
The Randy Johnson deal that Astros fans remember.
Yeah, but they gave up in that trade. They gave up John Halama, a serviceable left-hander, Carlos Guillen, who became a star, and Freddie Garcia, who became a star.
Davis at third has to hurry. Tim can book it, and he just does nip Tim Anderson. We're out number 3. Sox get 3 though and take the lead back. 6-3 your score after 3. Sox with the lead 6-3, and here's what you can win. Playing Sox math this lovely evening, we've got the Chicago cap, the Stormtrooper bobblehead, and a number of other lovely items.
The Chicago cap is a giveaway. Not tonight, but it's a beautiful cap. And that's coming up. That is Saturday.
We've given the cap a name. It's Anson. Anson the cap.
It's very good looking. And
it loves happy days.
That is what I'm going to give to Jack Ruby because it's his birthday Saturday.
Is that right?
He's 100.
Oh, come on.
Close.
The good dentist can't be any older than 98.
He's in the neighborhood.
Derek Holland bankrolled to 3 more runs. 6-3 your score. Top of the 4th inning. And Brian McCann lights up this 1-1 pitch. Angle back at the warning track. He jumps Adam Angle. No, you didn't. A big hug from Avi because yes, he did. 1 down. How about that?
This is as well timed a play as you can possibly make. Adam Angle trying to gauge where he's going to make his jump as he's running to the spot. Now, he's got a long way to run. And he slows down, knows exactly where he is, and then perfect timing. Wow, what a play that is. Avi can't believe it. Derek Holland can't believe it. This is about as good as it gets.
He stuck his foot in that wall to give him a little more time in the air.
No, that's an outstanding effort. And because he had his foot in the fence, he was able to get up about another 3-4 inches higher and make the play. Yikes.
That is an outrageous, like top 20 of the season anywhere play.
No, just a beautiful effort and is well timed as you could possibly make.
He has made the routine play, he's made the relatively difficult play, and he's made that type of play.
Well, that one's special.
Poor fan had a line on a souvenir, and Adams snatched it right away.
Well, it makes a lot of people happy when you do that. A lot of people wearing the white uniforms tonight, but it makes the pitcher exceptionally happy.
High 3-1 on Marisnick, who walked in the second inning. Holland on the verge of walk number 5 tonight. Three and two. And strike 3. Holland comes back to get Marisnick. 2 down here in the 4th. And here's your Sox Math question for tonight. Hashtag Sox Math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize off the prize shelf. Number of games between the Sox and Astros before August, plus the number of games in this homestand, including tonight, multiplied by the walks Michael Kopech has in his last 4 starts for AA Birmingham, and subtract the number of games without a hit in Boston for Nicky Delmonico. Can you defeat A. Lipinski III, our defending champion? You got the answer? Yes, Jason, I do.
I'm a little short on the answer tonight.
Ball and a strike on Bregman.
It was difficult tonight.
I think you'll get it during the break. Two and one.
The Giga-Time high-speed replay powered by Xfinity. This triple drives in all the bases that were occupied, and the bases were loaded. Time it made it a 3-3 game. But the Sox have come back with another 3. High-speed replay powered by Xfinity, the future of awesome.
3-1 is up high, ball 4. Bregman's second walk tonight.
Just like last inning, 2 quick outs, and then the walk to Gonzalez, the base hit to Beltran, before finally ending the inning with Davis.
And here is Jose Altuve, who can basically hurt you just about anywhere in the strike zone. When you're a 364 hitter, that's pretty likely that you're going to have some good plate coverage. However, there's really no place where you can pitch him other than far inside. Those blue numbers are very close to him. If you look at the 350 up and out, he's 5'6", and he's awesome high and away.
Just a great player, and he keeps getting better, which is probably the scariest part.
27 years old. A lot of time in his prime remaining.
Pretty much his whole prime remaining.
Fouled away, 2 strikes. He hit in July. In the month of July, an Astros record for batting average in a month. Jose Altuve was a .485 hitter in July.
Probably hated to take the All-Star break off, hitting like that.
But that truly is impressive too, as you're saying, with the break in between, keeping that up.
So 2014 he hit .341. Then he slumped to .313 in 15 last year. He hit .338. And each and every year for the past 3 seasons, he's hit more home runs each year. This year he's going to have his, well, he's got to work some, but 24 home runs, his career high. He's 8 away.
2 months left. He's on pace.
Yeah, plenty of time. And with the Crawford boxes in Houston, you don't have to get a whole lot of it to get it out.
Sox will see Minute Maid Park coming up in the month of September, the 19th through the 21st. Up high, 3 balls and 2 strikes on Altuve with Reddick next. Bregman at first, 3-2. Ball 4. One of the hallmarks of this Houston team is that they just don't strike out very much.
Here's a pitch you would want, but it was off the plate. It's a changeup. Kevin has to move it over a couple of inches to try to sell it, and didn't get the job done. So that's 5 walks.
Honor Chicago area police and fire departments Thursday, August 10th. That's this Thursday. Police and Fire Night. First 10,000 fans get a special Police and Fire Night commemorative T-shirt presented by UL. For more than a century, UL has been committed to fire safety. Learn more at ul.com/fire. Visit whitesox.com/PDFD or call 866-SOX-GAME. Talking to Steve Sparks from the Astros radio booth, he said one of the things about this team that's been so impressive to his eyes this year has been their ability to take that pitch that's maybe inches off the plate, but the discerning eye for this team has been a staple and a reason that they've only struck out about 6.5 times per game.
Just put the ball in play. It's really one of the secrets to a fine offense. Quit striking out. I mean, you're going to have your guys strike out, obviously, but if you keep it under 9 strikeouts per 9 innings and you have everybody else putting the ball in play, you're going to put a lot of pressure on the defense.
To first base, Abreu knocks it down. Who wins the race? Derek Holland does, just beating Reddick. So 2 left on for the Astros here in the 4th inning. They've stranded 6 and the Sox lead 6-3.
Winning combination, State Farm, here to help life go right, and it goes right for Jose Abreu, who stays right with it. Derek gets there. He gets there a full step ahead of Josh Reddick. And Jose playing the line. Worked out very well as Derek and the Sox out of the inning with a 3-run lead.
Tyler Saladino takes ball number 1, and we both want to send out our best wishes to Eddie Olczyk of the Blackhawks, who's undergoing treatment for colon cancer. The news just came across today, and we wish our best to Eddie and his family, and get well as quickly as possible.
Well, not only Blackhawk fans, but fans of hockey all over the country are rooting for Ed. Fans of horse racing all over the country are rooting for Eddie to come back as quickly as possible. He's a wonderful man and a great broadcaster.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Saladino. We told you about Don Baylor passing away over the weekend, and these things happen all too much.
Another former major leaguer, Darren Dalton, lost his battle and passed away. He's a very young man.
We wish the best to Eddie. Pop up to second, and 1 away. Here's your answer for Sox math tonight. Number of games between the Sox and Astros was 0. 6 in the homestand times 3 walks the last 4 starts for Kopech. That's very good news.
The answer is 18.
Thank you. I keep cruising with the win tonight along with Steve Stone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you win something off the prize shelf. 1 down to Abreu, who takes strike 1.
Just in case the Astros bullpen is still active.
Ball and 2 strikes on Jose from Dallas Keuchel, who's really just trying to stabilize after a long first and third inning. He went 1, 2, 3 in the second, but 8 batters apiece in the first and the third.
He's trying to get a few more outs for the Houston bullpen to make sure that A.J. Hinch doesn't have to go too deep into that pen.
Bounds away from the catcher McCann. 2-2. Skipper of the Astros, who was drafted 3 times originally. He was picked in the 2nd round by the White Sox back in 1992.
Decided Stanford would be a good place to go.
Jose Abreu pumps another one into left field, this time deep in the count after a first pitch single in the 3rd.
That's great change from Keuchel. Has not been as good as it normally is, and Jose waited back long enough and took it into left field. You saw the grip on the change. It's not a bad changeup. It's just that Jose is strong enough and a good enough hitter to wait back long enough, keeping the hands back and driving it into left field.
That's 2 changeups that were fairly similar in location. Engel and Abreu both ended up in left field. What does that say to you about the changeup?
Well, it's in a good position, so what he's not doing is fooling hitters with it, and I don't know what it normally looks like leaving his hand.
I just meant more, what does it say to you about what the hitters are seeing as Reddick chases toward the line and makes the catch for out number 2?
Well, what they're not seeing is deception. They're not seeing a really good arm velocity that goes with a good straight change. If you have the same release point, the same arm velocity, you're going to get hitters out in front. You see the grip, it's between the middle finger and the ring finger. So it's almost a split change. And this one was in a good spot, but Jose wasn't fooled, so I'm not sure if they're able to see it leaving his hand. But there's a couple of really good ones tonight that wound up in the outfield for base hits.
That ball's drilled by Kevin Smith to left field, and in a heartbeat it gets out. Two-run home run, Kevin Smith.
Third home run and third run batted in tonight. Fourth run batted in tonight, giving him 20. He gets a first ball, what looked like a fastball, and rode it out. This one a no-doubter. That one way back there.
That home run, another generous donation from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. Pretty bad man, Kevin Smith, on that swing. 1-1 on Moncada, who's seen quite a few off-speed pitches and breaking balls from Keuchel tonight, but has been on base twice. One and two. Moncada wraps the breaking ball foul.
So the second time tonight, the pen up and going. This time is James Hoyt.
Well, this Houston team is just 11-11 since the All-Star break. As Moncada lays off. As they go into the break, they're 60-29, and at that point you're rapping on the door of the Dodgers. Now, with the injury to Correa, injury to Springer, who will be activated very soon, they think. McCullers, Keuchel's not exactly his former self. There may be a little consternation in Astro Nation.
Well, I don't think they start to worry at all until they get healthy.
Well, maybe not them in the dugout,
no,
but certainly the fans.
No, but I'm saying, as long as they're not healthy, then you're not that concerned. If they came back together and then started playing the same way, a 500 team heading into the playoffs, you'd be very concerned.
There's another good sign. Yohan Moncada runs the count now to 3-2. And he's come back from 2 strikes quite a bit.
He's got a really good eye. You're not going to see him swing at pitches out of the zone too often. That one fouled off a McCann, so seems to be okay.
That won't be the first, and it won't be the last ball.
No, because he's a big catcher, and big catchers get beaten up a bit more. They cover more space.
Nice take. Ball 4, Moncada's second walk tonight. Get in a pregame stretch with Core Power Yoga on Sunday, August 27th before the Sox take on the Tigers. This ticket package includes an hour-long yoga class in our upper terrace suite, as well as a lower box seat to the game. Package is limited to the first 150 purchases, so visit whitesox.com/yoga today. That Astro fan may be calling to the bullpen on his own.
You ready out there yet?
How'd you get this number? Supposed to be unlisted. Garcia to right field. And out number 3, Kevin Smith with a laser to left. A 2-run shot, and the Sox pile on. It's 8-3 after 4.
The White Sox checking, an official White Sox debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Sox trying to take game 1 of this series. Fans are enjoying a beautiful night. A Raptor fan visiting, maybe a relative of Chuck Swirsky's.
Very well be. He was there for quite some time. Understand you had a wonderful lunch with Mr. Swirsky.
You're on Facebook and Twitter too much, following my lunch plans.
Well, I mean, Chuck puts everything on there.
He's a great man. One of the nicest, most genuine guys you'll ever run into.
I just want to know, because he did some games, as you know, and you and I have been together for over a year and a half. I want to know which one of you guys paid. I'm surprised you're still not there.
Here's a ground ball to the left side. Payne in the rear. Moncada with a high throw, and Gurriel is safe at first.
With the shift on, it caused Yuan to come over, having to drift well on the third base side of second, and when he went to get the throw off, it carried Jose off the bag. It's easily a base hit. A good effort, but he can't get it there in time. With the speed of Gurriel, even if it's on the bag, I don't think they're going to get him at first.
Chuck actually, by the way, and we should probably do this business not on television, but Chuck brought up a great point that all the Chicago announcers for the sports teams should get together for dinner once a year. We should do that.
I got a great idea.
Oh, no. This is not going to be great, whatever it is.
Oh, it is. I mean, I think if all of you.
You're included.
Yes. All of you, you'll be joining me in Scottsdale, Arizona over the winter time.
Oh, so we all have to fly to Arizona.
The weather's terrific.
Very nice of you to welcome us 12 states west for dinner. Seems to be cost effective to do it that way.
I think so.
Or we'll just do rock, paper, scissors for who gets to pick where we go.
See who picks up the check. Those three guys learning a very valuable lesson. You win, you get a baseball.
Two strikes on Gonzalez. He goes up high to tomahawk this ball to left. Garcia into foul territory. Leury makes some friends but can't make the play.
Nice effort as that ball continued to drift, winding up in the seats. And the wind, no factor tonight. Leury thought he had a shot, almost did.
By the way, both Hollands are pitching right now in Major League Baseball. Derek and Greg. And Derek is having a better night than Greg because Greg just gave up the tying run to Cleveland with 2 out in the 9th.
I'm going to bet that Cleveland wins that game 4-1. I'm just guessing here, but I'm thinking they're going to win it.
My game day says in play and runs.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's strike 3 on Gonzalez.
So what do you think the final score will be?
I think it's going to be 2-1, Uncle Steve.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what then.
Oh, I was wrong.
I'll spot you 2 runs in Colorado.
Jan Gomes homered.
Oh, he did.
4-1 Cleveland.
Wow. You got a very slow whatever that is. What is that?
It's a tablet.
No.
It is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slow.
They don't make them of stone anymore. The tablets, like you used to chisel your essays into in English class at Brush High.
We didn't have English at Brush.
You did? You did? What, Aramaic?
We had two shops for cars.
You had auto body shops at Brush High School.
2 auto shops,
but
yes.
no English class.
Well, a little, but I didn't notice them. I didn't know where they were, but yeah, the auto shops were there. We supplied the Cleveland area with mechanics for years.
Is that right? Did you
True.
take auto shop?
No. I would have liked to.
Couldn't fit it into that busy schedule of yours? to third base. Saladino, Moncada, that's 2. And we'll play the bottom of the 5th. Leadoff single, no harm done. 8-3 Sox.
Chicago White Sox, Stanley, performance in action. And we got a new pitcher coming in the game, and surprisingly his name is not Stanley.
How often do you see it?
James Hoyt comes on for the 34th time. He's been a busy man. His ERA 5.40. 57 strikeouts and 38 in a third. With that kind of stuff, with only 9 walks, that ERA is a little bit higher than it should be.
He'll face Nicky Delmonico. And there is ball number 1. James Hoyt, James Allen Hoyt. His initials are Ja. You being a big Ja Rule fan, you must appreciate that.
We were listening to some of that before the game today.
By your choice.
I did. Yeah. You weren't looking at my playlist closely enough.
Nicky Delmonico jabs down another bunt and absolutely aces yet another shift.
If they're going to continue to do that against him, and he continues to do that, it's not going to take long before they stop doing it. So he's done it twice, and he's 2 for 2. Taking a look at the shift, all you got to do is keep it fair. And in this ballpark, at least, once it hugs the line, it's not rolling foul. So with nobody home on the left side, a perfect bunt. You see the spin on it. And eventually, Davis just has to pick it up.
That Nicky Delmonico has done such a thing twice against a shift suggests baseball IQ.
Well, instead of hitting into the shift, the best way to beat it, if they decide not to bring the third baseman in, is to do just what he's done. And again, it doesn't have to be a great bunt. If they're giving you that much room and the third baseman is back that far, all you got to do is bunt it on the grass, and nobody, with his speed, nobody can get him. So good heads-up play by Nicky Delmonico.
Two balls and a strike on Adam Engel. Final line on Dallas Keuchel tonight. The Sox just wore him out. 4 innings, 10 hits, 8 runs, all earned. 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. strike. 2-2 on Engel, who delivered an RBI single back in the third to left field. Two and two from Hoyt. Third base side, Davis tracks it down and gets only one. Delmonico cut down at second base.
That was a good play by Davis to Altuve. He backhanded. Altuve having to jump as he caught the ball. Not even close to a double play, but a good solid play by J.D. Davis. And Delmonico going in as hard as you are allowed to go in this age of baseball. And Altuve got out of the way.
He was down. He was directly toward the bag.
Yep. No, I mean, everything worked very well. Nice play by Davis.
In the air from Anderson. And Marisnick on the hunt for out number 2.
James Hoyt went undrafted out of college, which is very rare, and decided that he would leave baseball. He figured it wasn't for him. Nobody wanted him. Well, he was going to go and work on some sailboats in San Diego, which all things considered is pretty good. Ricky Renteria with a short word for Sean Barber.
Maybe looking for interference there? I don't know.
No either.
James Hoyt, born and raised in Boise, Idaho. Then Palomar College in San Marcos, California. And Centenary College in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Also pitched for one of your favorite teams.
Who's that?
Tabasco in the Mexican League. After watching what you ate today for lunch, I would think Tabasco would be too mild for you.
Yeah, it was one of those lunches where you can't feel a portion of your face after you're done.
There was some heat there. I could tell by the reddishness around the noodles.
I can't feel my face when I'm with you.
Close play at first base. But he was in under the tag. And they want to take another look at it. They believe that they got him. By they, I'm talking about McCann. And apparently they didn't.
Some people say that managers shouldn't have the 30 seconds to look at the play before they challenge, that it should be more of a strategic decision than a calculated one. This is likely to be out number 3, so I'll ask you about that when we come back. The Sox can't score here in the 5th against the reliever Hoyt. 8-3 your score. On to the 6th. 8-3 to score. The Sox with the lead over the Astros with 3 in the first and third.
And just in case the pen up and going, in case Derek Holland has some problems here in the 6th, he's facing the bottom 3 in the order.
Davis, who he struck out twice, takes ball number 1. Astros 71-40 coming into play today. It's a rematch of the 05 World Series that we will reminisce about as much as the Astros don't want to. Engel driven back to center, and Adam Engel's there as he normally is with a cushioned blow against the wall, out number 1.
Well, that one, compared to the first wonderful play he made, looked like it was fairly routine. Not an easy play when the ball is hit right over your head, and Adam Engel just runs to the spot, able to measure it all the way. He's got great instincts, gets a terrific read, and just hauls it in.
There's also a level of comfort with the position that he's shown. There's very little panic ever in center field.
No, he runs right to the spot, and that's what really good center fielders do.
In the air left side, there's not very much on that side, but Saladino is there, and now 2 collide. Saladino and Garcia come together, and Tyler makes the play.
Time now for the Danleys' defensive play, and it's none other than the 4th inning. Take a look at this. McCann hitting it. Adam Engel going back, putting his foot into the fence to give him another couple of inches. And he goes up seemingly for a 2nd time with his elbow over the wall to make the catch. What a play that was. When you think garages, you can think that play, or you can think Danleys. 7-7-3, garages.
Truly a top flight play in this Major League Baseball season that we will see over and over again. You think about the moment in this game as well. The Sox had just scored 3 runs in the 3rd inning to take the 6-3 lead. That's the opening batter of the top of the 4th inning. McCann trying to make it 6-4 and flip the momentum back to Houston.
No, just an outstanding effort, and great defense will pick up a baseball team regardless of where or when it comes. And Engel has been just magnificent center field.
Three balls and a strike on Marisnick, who hasn't put a ball in play so far today. Walk in the 2nd, run scored, strikeout in the 4th. Three and 1 is high. That's walk number 7 tonight for Derek Holland.
And here's a real oddity. This is the 3rd time that Derek has gone 2 up, 2 down, only to walk the next hitter. He did it in the 3rd. He did it again in the 4th, and this is going to be the last time he's going to do it, because that is the 6th walk. So Jake Petrichka to come in the ball game, and as he strolls in, we will walk out. We'll be back.
Sox take on the Kansas City Royals 6:10 p.m. That's this Saturday. First 15,000 here get a specially designed cap that brings the White Sox and the iconic Chicago flag together. Visit whitesox.com to get your tickets today.
And Jake Petricka comes in the ball game for the 15th time. His ERA, clean light. The record 1-0. And opponent's batting average at .333. Now that he is healthy, we should see that ERA going down considerably. He inherits Marisnick at first base, 2 outs here in the 6th inning.
Bregman first to take ball number 1. Derek Holland 5 2/3. The 5 hits, 7 walks, a career high. He in fact had no 6 walk games prior to tonight, Holland. But did well to, you're tempted to say pitch out of trouble, but in fact what you said really informs the whole situation. He pitched into trouble when there was no trouble in the first place.
Yeah, and yet because he only gave up the 5 hits and none of them left the ballpark, he was able to keep it manageable.
Center field angle. And that'll do it. Jake Petricka gets the first out of Bregman tonight. And we'll go bottom 6 with the Sox leading by a nickel.
Chicago fans.
Sox lead by 5 tonight. 6th inning. Abreu, Garcia, and Smith coming up as the Sox got to Dallas Keuchel early and then often with 3 in the 1st and 3rd, and then the 2-run homer for Kevin Smith in the 4th. Jose with 2 singles to left. 2 for 3 against the lefty Dallas Keuchel. Tomorrow, don't forget, we will see at 7:10 Colin McHugh and Miguel Gonzalez. That game will be on CSN. I'll make a mental note for myself. Both games on CSN the next 2 days.
Or you could just keep assorted jerseys with different monograms on them here in the booth.
The toughest thing we do every day.
Trying to figure out which of the signals we're on.
Long story short, I wore a CSN shirt today, so I got a nice free White Sox pullover for my troubles.
Nice. You could get quite a collection if you keep on doing that.
Are we? It's 1-0 me this year. You haven't done it this year, have you?
Yes.
You have. So we're tied?
Yes.
Okay. It's a compelling leaderboard, folks. Please follow along. You can play via the hashtag wear the right shirt.
Well, I was trying to just take, I think it was a black shirt with the wrong logo. I was trying to take black tape and put it over the logo.
Elton John's here tonight, by the way.
Halfway to Mardi Gras.
The $1 Million White Sox piano.
Nice.
Third base hit foul to Nick Capra. And time for America's fastest growing sensation, other than wear the right shirt. We call it Sticks and Stone when we quiz Steve about his own career. Who hit a home run in your first start against the Astros?
Well, I can hardly remember this, but a guy by the name of Norm Miller came up and hit a one-hopper. There was 2 outs in the 5th inning. I was leading 1-0. Hit a one-hopper, hit me in the leg. And as I was rolling around on the artificial surface then, I will get to it after this.
It's going to be caught. You can continue.
It is caught. So there I am rolling around on the infield surface at Candlestick Park, which was artificial surface at the time. And there was 2 outs. It was the 5th inning. I was leading 1-0. So they came out, brought the trainer out. Manager came out, although I think he did it begrudgingly. And asked me if I was okay. Well, I needed 1 out to go to qualify for a win. And Bob Watson came up, and I threw him a first pitch changeup. And you've heard me talk about the fact that I never could throw a changeup.
Yeah.
It started then because I must have tipped it for him because he just waited back and hit a home run to tie it at 1-1. So I had a sore leg and a no decision in my first start against the Astros. So it was Bob Watson.
But you don't remember it very vividly.
I hardly remember any aspect of that, yes.
You pitchers are wild beasts because some days you're like, I have no idea. And then other days it's, well, I was that morning, I was 5'11" and 108. I remember weighing myself on the scale, and you remember every darn detail of the whole thing.
It depends. You know, some things are indelible.
And you can't erase them either.
No. Sometimes. Yeah, I do remember that one particularly well, though.
Why'd you say the trainer came out begrudgingly?
No, I said the manager came out.
Oh, the manager.
The trainer was going to come out anyway.
I thought maybe the trainer didn't mind. You had cried wolf before or something.
No. Me and the manager, well, it wasn't that we didn't get along. It's just that we didn't get along. Yeah. He wasn't the Lone Ranger either.
That can't be. You're a terribly affable feller. In the air, left field. And Marwin Gonzalez. Time for the stunning, dramatic reveal of the answers Steve gave you in great, tremendous detail. Bob Watson, there you go.
There it is. Yep. Nice man, Bob Watson. Became the GM of the team with the hat he's wearing. Also went on to be the GM of the Yankees, I believe. So, good baseball man, was a really good player, and hit that home run to which I've never forgiven him.
And never forgotten.
Nope.
You know, the human memory can only store so much. You might want to just discard that one. It's been a while.
I would like to, but yeah, there's occasionally the synapses fire on things that you can't hardly predict. That being one.
That's in for a strike. Ball and a strike on Kevin Smith, who has had a whale of a day with a walk, a double, and a home run. 4 driven in.
And 2 scored. Been quite an evening for Kevin, who's having just a really nice year. Especially when you consider he's the right-handed counterpart in essentially a platoon system, and when that happens, the lefty almost invariably will get more play, although Kevin does face the occasional right-hand pitcher, so it's not really a straight platoon. But between Omar and Kevin, they've done a really nice job behind the plate.
Especially considering the fact that he does face quite a few of the left-handed pitchers, and he's hit righties about 160 points better this year than left-handers.
That's unfortunately what happens, because if you're going to make it to the major league, especially as a right-hander, you're going to be able to hit right-handers. Very few times will you see a right-hander that can't hit right-handers and still make it to the major leagues.
You know, James Hoyt's looked pretty good. Just the infield bunt single for Delmonico so far in terms of base runners for the Sox tonight against the first Astro reliever. 2-2. That was nearly a strike.
A wonderful suggestion from one of our fans who tweeted in, why don't they make you reversible shirts with a logo on either side?
That is a great suggestion.
How about that?
Bob Vorwald, our executive producer, is in the booth. As there's ball 4. Bob has given me the Joaquin Phoenix Gladiator thumbs down to that suggestion. So that's probably not the greatest side. He says, I think he's miming that we should have a sticker that we could just pull off and then replace. Seems like it might fall off periodically on the show, and that wouldn't go over very well with the upper management.
Well, our producer John Walgren suggested Velcro logos.
Velcro goes?
Yeah, not bad.
I turned on the Sox game. They were talking about Velcro shirts. Strike number 1 on Yoan Moncada, who's been on 3 times so far tonight.
And now he gets to turn around to hit from his strong side, which is the left side. A lot of production out of the middle of the order. Garcia, Smith, and Moncada.
They've been on base
7.
9 times. If you include Avi.
Oh, yes. With walks and the occasional hit. Very productive night for the middle of the order.
Ball and 2 strikes on Moncada.
Boy, he's got a pretty good sinker when he stays on top of it. That ball dove out of the zone.
Smith at first, and Moncada tips it foul. Sox trying to bounce back after the sweep at the hands of the Red Sox at Fenway Park. Losing streak at 6 as it stands right now after those back-to-back walk-off wins the final 2 days of July. Another foul ball from Moncada. MLB.tv every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live, plus get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Chris Sale won his 14th tonight as the Yankees lost, Boston won. Boston now leading by 4 games.
Strike 3 for Hoyt. 3rd strikeout only tonight for the White Sox, and we're done with 6. Sox lead by 5. 8-3 your score. The White Sox over the Astros, 7th inning. Sox trying to put away game 1 of this series and knock the Astros down to just 30 over 500.
They would be terribly slumping.
Inside on Altuve for ball 1. They have lost 6 of 9 coming in, the Astros, but 30 over is an enviable position.
Could very well be that for the first time the injuries are starting to wear the team down, and with a couple of their starting pitchers, either one injured or two, in the case of Keuchel, really not back 100% yet. Eventually it takes a toll, but they've got such a big lead that it's not going to matter.
Altuve in the air, left center field, and this ball carries up and out for Jose Altuve. You get behind in the count against him, and he's going to send a souvenir somewhere.
17th home run. He's now driven in 64. And that was a line drive rocket. He had the launch angle of a ground ball that just kept on going. Got a hold of one down in the zone and just crushed it.
How quick is that swing?
How strong is that guy?
Strike 1 to Josh Reddick. Altuve with his July OPS of 1251 for a team that, I mean, look, the Astros were down and out for a couple of years. This is a team that lost over 100 games and was, to some players who had been jettisoned, kind of a laughingstock. They didn't really appreciate the way the rebuild was going, that they weren't going to be a part of it. And there was some belief that this might not turn out to be what it was going to become. So you look back in 07, Altuve, the undrafted free agent. They get Dallas Keuchel in the draft in 09. Then Springer and Marwin Gonzalez at 11. Correa certainly helps with McCullers, but that's back-to-back 100-loss seasons. That starts to sting at some point.
Yeah, and you know, for our fans who are impatient, you take a look at how you get a good team. They lost 106 and 107 games in back-to-back years and got high draft picks, but also made the most of those draft picks.
Gurriel to left field, and this ball is departing as well. Second home run of the inning for the Astros, and suddenly it's a 3-run game in the 7th.
That's number 15 and RBI number 59. Gurriel 2 for 4 tonight. Another line drive rocket home run. So Yuli got a hold of a hanging slider. This one didn't do much, and he cranked it, bringing Rick Renteria out from the dugout. And that's going to be it for Drake Petrichka. As he will leave, so will we. We'll be back. got ourselves a little closer game as Aaron Bummer comes into this for the 6th time. He is 0-2. His ERA 5.79. Opponent's batting average, though, pretty good at 235. He's got good enough stuff. Just a question of getting acclimated. You see a beautiful moon here high over the ballpark. Gorgeous night for baseball. And a very offensive night as runs abounding. 13 of them.
Strike one from Bummer to Marwin Gonzalez, who the Sox spin around to bat from the right-hand side, considering his average is nearly 340 from the left-hand side. It drops about 100 points from this side. You would imagine that this would be the numerical choice. And here it is. Aaron Bummer, who didn't pitch a couple years ago, recovering from elbow surgery, and has risen very quickly through the system.
His stuff is good and everything moves.
That one hits Gonzalez on the shoe. The old 7th inning hot foot for Marwin Gonzalez.
Got the ground and the shoe at the same time. Even if it hits him on a hop, he's still going to first. That doesn't feel too good.
Unless those are steel-toed cleats.
No, and he's on for the 3rd time tonight.
A single, a walk, and a hit by pitch. So now Beltran. The Astros have been, at points this year, a comeback machine.
Get a ground ball here, and Beltran can't run. It's going to be a double play. And with Juan Minaya loosening in the pen, Kevin Smith comes out to kill a little time.
We showed you the Astros and how they kind of constructed this team from a few years out. Here are the remaining pieces after Correa and McCullers come together through the draft in 2012. 111 losses in 13, 92 losses in 14. Gaddis, Bregman, 2015, they get the wild card in 15, finish in 2nd place. And then last year they miss out and have reloaded very well this season, but quite a few of the same guys, and certainly helped to have Dallas Keuchel healthy for the vast majority of the first half of this year.
And for last year, their young guys who came to major leagues and weren't quite ready, they all took that next step. Same thing with this year. The young guys getting better, the veterans and their young veterans. I mean, you've got Altuve, who's still 27 years old with a lot of play left. So the veterans like Springer are getting better, and the youngsters are starting to come in like Bregman and fill the gaps.
Foul of 3rd, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Beltran. The Astros this year have 32 comeback wins. 11 of those went down by 3 or more as Musgrove and Goodwin get loose.
Musgrove, the right-hander on the left. Goodwin.
Oh, nice play by Bummer, and what a shame for the Astros. Eight-5.
Kelly, not content with one slide, decides to slide again. Then the ball gets away, and he's running especially fast with those short pants, and he scores. Jack Brohammer with a single to right field, and the Sox go on to beat Kansas City wearing shorts for the first time. See Terry Forster, the winning pitcher, followed by Rich Gossage. And there you see it, a 5-2 win. Home Field Facts brought to you by Ryan Kelly, the HomeLoanExpert.com.
It was game 1 of a doubleheader. They went back to the long fans for game 2.
And did not wear them the next year when I got here for the second time. Yes. Short's not such a good look.
More aerodynamic, though.
Indeed. Yes. And we get a new pitcher coming in the ball game. It is Ramin Gudwan. On for the 15th time. There you look at the numbers. Opponent sitting 333. That's a pretty high number.
Our viewers say his name quite a bit when you have one of your puns that you say. They sit at home and they say,
Ramin?
Good one, Steve.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
That's a pun within a pun, ladies and gentlemen. You can use that at work tomorrow. Leury Garcia with an RBI on the fielder's choice in the first. Part of a 3-run first inning for the Sox. Big double play for Bummer to end the top of that 7th inning. It looked like he was going to get a little chancy around here.
That ball would have been through the middle because they weren't playing him in a shift. So Aaron did a nice job of snagging it, turning 2.
Up the middle, and that's how you sneak it through. Garcia with a single to start the 7th. First 25,000 fans at each game receive a Merck's cheese spread game card. Good for savings on delicious Merck's cheese in the deli or dairy case at your local grocer watching the White Sox. And saving on Merck's cheese, some fans have all the luck. Purchase your tickets, whitesox.com, or call 866-SOX-GAME. I wanted to ask you, and we got sidetracked a little bit by that pesky third out that happens sometimes, about managers and instant replay. Do you like the 30-second rule for the managers to choose whether or not to challenge a play, or do you wish that it was a little bit more blind for them to decide?
I don't think the blind look, just automatically saying I want to challenge it, I don't think that works quite as well, especially when, if your challenge has failed, you lose it. So that would make it even more difficult. You'd have to work something else out than just the one challenge that you lose, and then depend on the umpires wanting to review it themselves. I think 30 seconds is fine. A lot of managers take a little less, but they've got to see it. I mean, it's very difficult, and the reason why we have replay, it's very difficult with the naked eye in real time to make these calls. So you have to give them some time for somebody to take a look at it. Otherwise, they're really relegated to doing what they've gotten replay in the first place, which is getting it right.
The argument goes something like this. In football, coaches don't have the time because of the hurry-up offense to have somebody tell them to challenge. They just have to go based on what they saw real time.
Don't they get, well, they get 3 challenges?
They get a couple. They get 2.
2 challenges?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's certainly better than this way.
And in college football, every play gets reviewed by the people upstairs, by the replay booth, and they only buzz down if they feel that the play needs to be stopped in order to review. So you could have a system where there were no challenges and New York just makes the call.
I kind of like the human element, actually, as opposed to the other way of doing it. I think they'll smooth out the rough edges of this. They've gotten better this year than they've been.
That's ball 4, and Gudwan missed badly on a couple of those. So 2 on for the Sox, and nobody out for the 9-hitter Adam Engel.
And Gudwan is not going to miss any more as A.J. Hinch comes out. He's already pointed to the pen. So we'll step out and be back after these messages. The Astros here for 2 more, followed by Kansas City. Then the off day on Monday, and it's on to the Dodgers, facing baseball's best team, and then 4 with the Texas Rangers. See your authorized Dodge dealer to experience a world of performance, design, and fuel efficiency. Go to Dodge.com and check out our powerful lineup. And we got a new pitcher coming in the ball game. It's Joe Musgrove. On for the 21st time, he's 5-8. His ERA at 5.59. Opponent's batting average up there at 294. But 77 strikeouts in 87 innings and 101 hits. So he's just learning his craft. He's got a good arm. It's a question of which way the Astros are going to use him long term.
This right now is Joe versus the volcanic Sox offense.
It's been pretty impressive tonight.
8 runs in the first 4 innings. With Anderson next, Adam Engel swings away and fouls it off. This is a situation in which we've seen the Sox bunt previous, but going for a big inning here, it seems Engel holsters the bunt. And now he stabs a bunt and misses. So 0-2.
He's made some very good bunts, but that time the technique wasn't there. As I think Jason described it well in stabbing at it, that usually does not get the job done.
Garcia at second, Delmonico at first. Now a ball and 2 strikes from Musgrove. One and 2. Engel lofts it right hand side. Reddick charging in, and Josh Reddick secures out number 1. Told you a little bit about down on the farm earlier on our White Sox farm report. Winston-Salem's gone final tonight, a loss 8-7 to Frederick, but Eloy Jimenez goes 3 for 5 with another home run and a double in this evening's festivities at lovely Harry Grove Stadium.
He's got a lot of power, and he is a very good hitter. Now a few clouds have obscured our shot of the moon.
It's a smoky moon.
Good looking.
One down for Tim Anderson. Winston-Salem playing Frederick tonight, a team, they're called the Keys, the Frederick Keys. They're named after Francis Scott Key.
I remember him. Shortstop?
Yep. I think you're thinking of Francis Scott Off-Key. Two balls and no strikes on Tim Anderson. Charlie Steiner, the Dodgers radio announcer. It was on SportsCenter a long time ago. Carl Lewis did this horrible national anthem. Charlie came back and said, I believe that was written by Francis Scott Off-Key. Lost his mind. 2-0 for Anderson. And a wave and a miss. Every batter tonight for the Sox has at least one hit. Two and one from Musgrove. A huge lead at second for Garcia. And now he shortens it as the pitch comes, which is low. 3 balls and a strike. I mean, he was 40% of the way to third base.
All Musgrove would have had to do is wheel around. He'd have had him because Altuve was very close to the bag, which he still is.
Three and one. Anderson fouls it off.
He got one right down the middle and unfortunately got under it. A couple pitches ago, looks like Leuri's ready to take off. Only that second look back. And if Musgrove had thrown right when Altuve went to the bag, he would have gotten him.
Little discussion between Garcia and Altuve. There's the throw to second, and he got him.
I mean, it's unbelievable, actually. Not quite speechless, was close. We'll take another look. Altuve is there. You see the hand. That's called daylight when you're the second baseman. They want to take another look at it, but Leary doesn't react quickly enough. Looks to me like he might have gotten the hand in. They're going to take a look at it. Rick's got nothing to lose here. Very close. I mean, very close. So you can make a case both ways. Just a question of the call on the field is he's out. Had that been a lower throw, he'd have been out by plenty. It wasn't, and still a long way for Altuve to go with the tag, but Angel Hernandez on the call. He calls him out. He's going to tag the elbow. The question is, does he get it down in time as the hand comes back? So he appears to be safe on that angle. We'll have to see if it's conclusive enough, and that's really the key.
Question is, when does the tag actually hit the arm? I wonder how far we are away from sensors on the bases.
Hopefully far.
You don't like that idea?
No.
Why not? Tennis has the line that you can basically tell everything's in or out.
Yes, but it doesn't include tags. Line is just where the ball is.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you could somehow light up the base when there's contact, no, and in real time with the replay.
Where would the Ferris wheel go then?
Right next to Mousetrap, the board game.
Good. I like
Yeah.
that.
You would think the longer the review, the better it would be for Houston, because you'd need indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field of out. And just generally, if it takes this long, at some point the conclusion is we don't have enough.
They got a couple of angles that we are not privy to here at the ballpark, and they're taking a look at every one of them. So it's Ted Barrett, the crew chief, on the left. So now they have been given whatever New York has, and he is going to be safe.
Well, they say fortune smiles upon the bold. It's kind of the backdoor route to that phrase here, but Leuri is safe.
Yeah, he is.
And here we are again on 3-2. Leuri's off. Anderson to left field. Leuri had to wait. He's still coming home. Throw from Gonzalez, and Garcia's out.
Well, Leuri was destined to be out on the base paths. It wasn't second, but it took a pinpoint throw to get him. Marwin Gonzalez makes a perfect throw. Leuri he had to slow down to see if the ball was going to be caught. When he slowed down and looked to left, now it cost him. Watch it here. Right here, he slows down and then tries to pick it up. Normally, that doesn't work very well.
He's not going to get back to second anyway.
No.
If it's caught.
True. Yes. All of the above. You're right about everything.
2 on, 2 out in Saladino. That was a wild and woolly tour of the base path. To third base, and Davis is going to go across the diamond with a hard peg for out number 3, and that'll do it in a wacky 7th inning. 8-5 your score. Top of the 8th inning, Sox leading by 3 with the bottom third of the order coming up for Houston. Aaron Bummer, second reliever used tonight by Ricky Renteria. Guns a strike to the corner. Davis 1 for 7 in his major league career with 5 strikeouts. That line out in the 8th inning was his 3rd at bat tonight. Here's Leury Garcia playing left field, and after the base running situations, Ricky Renteria with a couple of words for his outfielder.
I think one thing he's telling him is once you stop, and that was on the play, on the base hit, once you stop, and he came to almost a complete stop, it's really tough to pick it up again. He's telling him once you do that, you can't go after that because you're liable to see what happened, which is get thrown out.
But there are a couple components. It's maybe look for the ball earlier as well.
That would be good.
Two and 2 on Davis.
Davis made a couple of good plays at third base, and as advertised, he has a rocket for an arm.
That throw to end the bottom of the 7th was whistling over to first. Left-hander out of the University of Nebraska, Aaron Bummer. misses. Ball 4. Leadoff walk here in the 8th.
Here's our Honda game summary. It's an 8-5 game. Our Sox have out hit them 13-7. It's been an errorless game, and Kevin Smith having a big night. Derek Holland hung on, walked a whole lot of guys, but only gave up 3 earned runs. And Dallas Keuchel with a very tough outing, 10 hits and 8 earned runs. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer.
Mentioned bummer out of Nebraska. They're fighting Darren Erstad, the one-year Chicago White Sox player. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I was going to say that McCann tried to lean into that first pitch, so Aaron had best be careful if he wants to go inside on Brian McCann.
In the air left side, Garcia. And that's the first out of the 8th inning. 5 to go tonight for the Sox.
And here comes Rick. So Aaron has had enough for tonight. And we will go to the pen one more time. As Juan Minaya comes in, we'll step out. Be back after these messages. He had a line drive hit right back to him last inning. He made the catch and turned it into a double play. There is our Mazda replay cam. Good effort, and heads up, look to first base to get out of the inning. And there is Juan Minaya, who comes out for the 21st time, 1-0 ERA at 4.44. Stuff has been good. Opponents hitting just .213. That's very good. With 34 strikeouts and 26 in the third, a lot of them coming on that hard slider. He will look at Marisnik.
Unless they decide to pull
he will
back.
Look at Derek Fisher, yes, a pinch hitter. One of the more highly rated prospects in this Astro fully stocked system.
Fisher facing the former Astro farmhand Juan Minaya, who the Sox claimed off waivers from Houston last season in June.
Fisher's had back-to-back 20 homer seasons in their minor leagues.
He takes strike one.
Ooh, that one almost, well, one almost went through Jose's glove and two almost got away.
Big spot for Fisher with Bregman next, then Altuve. Sox trying to salt away this win with 5 outs to go against an Astros team that's #1 in Major League Baseball in average on base percentage and slugging, along with doubles and home runs. Strike 2 from Minaya. Minaya, who had 11 outings last year with the Sox in his first season in the majors against the rookie Fisher. Up and out. Two. Inside, it gets away from Smith. Davis to second base.
It will be a wild pitch. Tries to backhand it, and Kevin cannot keep it in front of it.
Important pitch here. 3-2, 1 out. Bregman on deck. He struck him out with a breaking ball down and in.
Keeps a tying run from coming to bat. Good slider, and he got him.
Two down for Bregman. And if you get the out here on Bregman, Altuve is the leadoff hitter in the 9th rather than the tying run here in the 8th. Not that Altuve is the only dangerous player in the lineup. You have Reddick and Gurriel behind him. But you can neutralize the damage Altuve can do against you by getting Bregman. Ball and a strike. One in the dirt again. 2-1 on Bregman.
That was a nice stop by Kevin. Goes out with a short word for Juan. That slider backing up when it hits. Kevin does a nice job of having it hit the chest protector and just roll forward.
Do you think he might have thought fastball there by the way he positioned his glove initially? Or was that simply believing the slider would be higher?
Yeah, I think he thought it would be higher.
Broken bat. Foul. 2-2 as Bregman goes to the bat supply cabinet, also known as the bat rack for short.
And he gets another one of his choosing.
Davis at second, 2 out. Alex Bregman, who walked in the first, tripled 3 home in the second, walked in the fourth, and flied out to center in the sixth. Two and two. Just touched back to the mound. Manaea, the underhand peg, and the inning is over. Davis left at second, 8-5 after 7.5.
Eight to 5 game. We head into the bottom of the 8th inning. We have some defensive changes. Derek Fisher stays in the game to play right field. And Josh Reddick will shift from right field to center field.
And Musgrove to face Abreu. 4, strike 1. Jose 2 for 4. A couple of runs scored tonight. Sox have scored 3 in the first and 3 in the third in a game that's seen no runs since the 4th inning. Called a ball, close pitch. Like it had more zone than it didn't. Down 2 balls and a strike. Guess what, Steve? The Dodgers are leading again.
That's surprising because they hardly ever do that.
2-1 in the 5th against the Diamondbacks. Royals are now 4 games back after Cleveland's walk-off tonight.
Corey Kluber has seen his record move to 10-3 with that win tonight. Tyler Clippard loosening in the pen.
Three and 2. Swing and a miss. Turbo breaking ball down low and 1 down. Sox and pitcher Carlos Rodon welcomed more than 300 children served by the Boys and Girls Club of Chicago for a back-to-school bag drop rally with state bags. During the rally, each kid filled a state backpack with some school supplies. Carlos helped as part of State Bag's 2017 back-to-school efforts to support youth in underserved Chicago communities. Carlos with a high five and a notebook. Some pens and pencils. I know you loved school supply hunting when you were growing up.
I mean, it's one of the great times of the year. Didn't like the school so much, but going for supplies was outstanding. You got all those things, at least in my case, that I wasn't going to use as the year moved along.
Your slide rule?
No.
They didn't have those yet? You just had the abacus?
When was that? Yeah. When was that invented, the slide rule?
After the 1800s.
Yeah. Was that when you couldn't run into players anymore?
Crafty. It's a foul ball.
No, I love to get yellow legal pads.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just loved yellow legal pads?
Oh, yeah.
That's the full story
I
here.
thought it was terrific.
Thought there were a couple more steps.
I never used them very much, but love to get them.
Somebody please send my partner just a big box of yellow legal pads. You still have some that you didn't use?
No, I think that wisely my folks probably donated them to somebody who would use them.
Didn't they ever say, why do we keep buying these? You never use them.
No, because they were hoping that the light would turn on.
There is something terribly ironic about a not so great student at the time, which you've said before.
No.
Loving the purchase of notepads, but never using them.
Oh, and and writing supplies, of course, all of those things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. A compass, love to buy compasses.
Not the directional one, the geometry circle drawing
with the
thing,
little
right?
point on it.
Right, to help you with circles and whatnot. That's a foul ball. It's not reviewable.
Yep, that was a good time.
What did you do with the compass?
Absolutely nothing. Mostly, and occasionally, I know it doesn't sound all that good, but occasionally I would poke my sister with it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
People are they're sitting at home, they're saying, maybe you should have bought the other compass and had some direction in life.
That probably would have been more useful. Yeah.
Little Steve Stone had a magnet next to his own moral compass, I think.
Math wasn't my long suit. Neither was drawing or anything else that went with it. So.
Sounds like you didn't take a whole lot of notes in any class.
No. Good memory.
1-2. What was the count before that pitch?
Can't remember.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Avi Garcia at his return from the DL. He is 2 for 4 tonight. On the ground to Bregman. He does get Garcia for out number 2.
Time now for StatCast, powered by AWS. And it came in the 4th inning. Kevin Smith with a line drive rocket out of the ballpark. 100.7 miles per hour exit velocity. Launch angle not too high at 27.6. Didn't have a chance to get up that high. It was a line drive rocket out of the park. It went 392 estimated feet.
How many real feet?
394.
Any of those happy?
Ooh, they used to be. We'll get back there, I think. I'll have to break that out.
I watched.
You did watch the happy feet?
I sure did.
Boy.
Only when there was nothing else on, though. If Bozo was on, that's where I was.
You're the only afternoon show without a doctor on it. Remember that.
Ball and a strike on Smith. We should bring back the grand prize game and do it in the booth. The Bozo buckets.
Well, don't forget, you were born and raised here.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Cleveland, where we couldn't afford a Bozo.
Your family just had you.
We had no Bozos. Just me.
Just buckets. Swing and a miss for strike 3 and a well-timed commercial because the rails are no longer attached to the card.
ninth inning, and Tyler Clippard comes on to try to nail it down and pick up a save. On for the 49th time. He does have one save this year in his 6 attempts. Bonus batting average of 205. That's very good. He gets an opportunity here, but he's got to face the tough part of the order for this Houston team.
And this guy first, the league's leading hitter, Jose Altuve, who homered last time on a 2-0 pitch against Jake Petrichka. Clippard and Altuve for strike one. Called strike two on Altuve, who is not terribly pleased with the call.
Understand where he wouldn't be as we take a look at the location, and it's just a touch outside.
Oh, 0-2 is down. That was actually closer than the second pitch, which shows how deceiving watching the catcher's glove can be in adjudicating a strike zone.
Normally on a curveball like that, when a catcher catches it, it's going to go down with the pitch.
Altuve to left, and that falls in for a leadoff single. Don't write off the Astros yet.
So this is a team with a lot of thunder, and they're going to get a whole lot more of it back. Because Correa and Springer, with Springer coming first, Correa coming about 3 weeks down the road, they will make this a much tougher team than they are now.
Think about the depth this lineup will have after that. And it is scary. Ball one to Reddick, who's 0 for 3 with a walk, a line out, a fly out, and a ground out to go along with a first inning walk.
That last pitch was well taken because it was a straight change, and Reddick never moved an iota. So unless he was taking all the way to get a strike, he saw that one all the way.
In the upper portion of the zone, strike one. Clippard to look at Altuve, who's got great speed at first, but whose run doesn't matter. So you wouldn't imagine he would do anything too high risk over at first. Ball and 2 strikes from Clippard to Reddick.
Fought off a pitch way out of the strike zone, but not wanting to leave it in the hands of Sean Barber. Reddick was able to foul it off.
One ball and 2 strikes. Altuve at first with a leadoff single. Reddick goes down swinging way out of the zone.
There's 2 pitches in a row that were a good foot out of the strike zone, and Reddick swung at both of them. You can get on your tiptoes and not get it up there.
think about the contrast from the confidence with which he took the first pitch of that sequence.
Seemed to see the straight change, but didn't see the last two fastballs.
Now it's Gurriel, who's got a hit his last 2 times up. One an infield single, one a home run. The change for ball 1. Yuli Gurriel, who had just about 50 at-bats in the minors before coming up to the majors last year when he signed with the Astros.
He was an accomplished player when he signed. He didn't need a whole lot of seasoning down there.
He takes low, 2 balls and no strikes. He'd been playing with Cuban national team in any number of events for more than a decade. In the air left field, an arching foul. He will also need a new piece of lumber. And that was the unceremonious bat drop. Tyler Clippard over in that trade with the Yankees. That brought Tommy Kahnle, Todd Frazier, and David Robertson to New York. Blake Rutherford, the cornerstone young player in that deal, coming to the White Sox. We saw Yankee prospect Dustin Fowler get injured in the right field corner here in Chicago. Then he ends up getting traded in the Sonny Gray deal before he could ever have an at-bat as a New York Yankee.
But for a double play, he was coming up. Sox made the double play, and he never got a Yankee at bat.
Fouled back just to our left. You think about it, and certainly Dustin Fowler plans to have a lengthy career in the majors, whether it be with Oakland or whomever it is, but think about the opportunity to say you were a New York Yankee batter. You know, he got in the game, he had the uniform on, but the at-bat might be just a little bit different. Life goes on, however.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, he's going to be a major leaguer and maybe wind up with the Yankees before it's over.
2-2. Sox tonight with Kevin Smith's 4 driven in. Javi Garcia's return from the DL netted him 2 hits and 2 runs. Stolen base as well, and Kevin's been on 4 times tonight with 2 walks to his name as well. Two balls and 2 strikes on Gurriel. Off the plate. Now suddenly you're a ball away from Marwin Gonzalez being the tying run in this game. He's on deck. Altuve at first, 3-2 on Gurriel. He popped it up back of home and out of play.
Able to stay alive on that straight change.
So rare long at bat for Yuli Gurriel, who went after the first pitch in the 7th inning. Had a single early in the count in the 5th. And here you'll see pitch number 8.
He's only walked 11 times this year.
3-2. In the air left side, foul again.
So it's a rare combination. I mean, he's had 383 at bats. He's only walked 11 times, but he's only fanned 46 times. So he's a guy that doesn't like no contact at bats. He had big power. And he's just a very accomplished hitter.
3-2 from Clippard. Altuve at first. Gurriel to right field and in. He plunks it down. Altuve is going to third, and the Astros bring up the tying run with 1 out in the 9th.
He fights off a high fastball, inside-out swing, and dumps it into right field. And now Gonzalez, and we talked about him earlier, now he will turn around and hit from by far his best side. 16 of his 20 home runs have come as a left-hand hitter. 58 of his 66 runs batted in have come as a left-hand hitter, and that's how he'll look out at Tyler Clippard.
Career high in home runs by 7 for Marwin Gonzalez in 91 games this year. Boy, a ground ball would be really nice right now. Just not to the left side for the most part, with the shift on for Gonzalez. Ball number 1. There's the shift to the pull side of Gonzalez. Southpaw trying to get the fans to not be so tense. Tough to do with the tying run at the plate in the form of Gonzalez. Broken bat grounder, third base side, and touch it before it's fair again.
Especially with the ball up the third base line. We've seen one already hugging that line, only to roll back toward fair territory. So the bat splinters as that one trickles foul. Just off the end of the bat. And this one had a shot at coming back in fair territory, which would have been disastrous. But Kevin goes up, touches it in foul territory before it can spin anywhere.
Ball and a strike on Gonzalez. Who came in with back-to-back 2-hit games. He's just coming off a 31 game on base streak, swinging a scorching hot bat. He's down 1-2 to Clippard. One and two on Gonzalez. Altuve at third, Gurriel at first. Sox trying to win the opener in this series. 2 outs away. Called a ball, and it shouldn't have been by a lot.
Tyler Clippard not real happy, as you would expect. Pretty good pitch. But the difference is that Kevin Smith wanted a high fastball, and Tyler threw it in the strike zone, but didn't get the call.
It's right down the middle, man.
You got a point there.
Tyler Clippard.
You see where the 4 appeared. I mean, not only had the whole plate, but probably thigh high.
Now it's about rebounding mentally for Clippard. Altuve at third, Gurriel at first. 2-2. Here she comes. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 gone.
Good late breaking. Well, looked like a splitter the way he's got it there. And that's exactly what it was. That one really diving at the end. Good splitter. Looked like a low fastball when it came out of his hands, and then just straight down in the dirt. You see no spin on the ball. That's what allows it to go straight down. Nice job by Kevin Smith.
Carlos Beltran, 434 career home runs. 1 for 9 all time against Tyler Clippard. Runner from first, Gurriel takes second base without a challenge. His run doesn't matter. The force, however, does, and now a meeting at the mound for the Sox. Beltran, who knows the feeling of changing teams mid-year, came over to Houston for his first go-around in 2004. Then was with the Mets and Giants in 2011. Yankees and Rangers last year.
All of his power and most of his production have come from the left side.
Swing and a miss on a high changeup. Last run in this game came across for the Astros in the 7th. 8-5. Clippard to Beltran. Fouled away, 1-2. Tyler trying to strike out the side. Ball and 2 strikes. Tying run at the plate. Clippard gets a ground ball to first. Abreu, Tyler covers, game over. Sox get the best team in the American League and beat him in the opener tonight, 8-5.
And Tyler Clippard made a couple of really good pitches. One to Gonzalez, the splitter, the other to Beltran, getting a soft ground ball. And the first time the Sox have taken a look at the Astros, they liked what they saw tonight. Taking advantage of Dallas Keuchel for 8 runs. They got him for 8 runs on 10 hits in just 4 innings, and he is the losing pitcher for just the 2nd time this year.
Sox win the opener against the Astros, 8-5. We'll wrap it up after this and hopefully hear from Kevin Smith when we come back.